Hi, welcome to Abby's Manhwa. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
The main character concludes that at 23, it is too early to die, and also states that death does not cause her any emotions other than relief. The girl spent 5 years in hospital after falling ill with a rare disease. Her senses began to fail one after another, starting with her vision. For the lady, the loss of vision was the most severe blow because now she will not be able to find out the ending of her favorite story. She didn't understand if she was destined to die, then why she had to endure all this suffering. And suddenly, after death, the main character opened her eyes again, being the heroine from the novel she had read before losing her sight. Opening her eyes, she concluded that her blanket smelled very tasty. She wondered why it smelled like that, because the nurse didn't seem to come into her room with an air freshener, when suddenly she jumped up, realizing that it was the first time she could smell the smell again. She turned her head, not believing that she was feeling something because earlier this was impossible. She realized that it was indeed the scent of roses. Trying to understand what was happening, the girl looked up. Surprisingly, the girl was in a room unknown to her. In an instant, there was a knock on the room calling the Lady Ariel. A voice asked if she had woken up. The maid brought her a tray and wished her good morning. The girl was shocked because she was met by the maid, to which she only smiled innocently and asked what bath scent milady prefers today. The pink-faced one couldn't understand why someone in the hospital wears such clothes, and then wondered what Lady Ariel meant. The heroine looked at the tray, seeing something strange, like jelly with a rose inside. She stared at the object, realizing that she was seeing something for the first time. The lady was shocked when she touched the new object, concluding that it looked like she was in a flower garden. She couldn't remember when the smell had been as amazing as it was at this time. The maid looked at her strangely. The maid asked what problems the lady had, because she looked as strange as possible. She stated that she was simply enjoying the aroma, to which the servant was amazed at this politeness, asking what she had done wrong. She fell at Ariel's feet and began to apologize, thinking that such politeness was sarcasm and a hint that she was mistaken. Ariel tried to calm the girl down, telling her not to be angry. Suddenly, the girl's gaze fell on the tray. Looking into the reflection, she did not recognize her face. The maid awkwardly looked at milady, afraid to utter an unnecessary word. Ariel couldn't believe that she looked completely different, couldn't understand why she was a different person. She was too shocked, saying that she needed a mirror. Looking at herself, she saw pink curly hair, eyes shining like the morning sky, snow-white skin. She immediately concluded that she had seen this face before. She realized that she had seen this face before on the cover of her favorite novel and could not confuse it. The shocked lady asked what the maid called her, to which she replied that her name was Ariel. Her gaze fell, the girl was horrified, asking the name of that same heroine. Nervous giggles were heard from her lips. Ariel burst into nervous and slightly crazy laughter, scaring the maid who was standing next to her. She remembered that this was the name of the antagonist of that very novel. Ariel concluded that she was doomed because this character dropped out at the beginning of the game, or rather, was publicly hanged. All that was known about her was that Ariel was presented as a brilliant perfumer. The reason for this was the smell of the demonic flower, Onyxia, which the protagonist Cedric Evans needed. In the story, Cedric asked Ariel to create a perfume with this scent. And being a genius, the girl did an excellent job and created a unique scent. Of course, nothing was given for free, and Ariel asked Cedric to date her in exchange for perfume. And he had no choice. But the girl wanted a serious relationship. But unfortunately, he pushed her away. Having left her, the guy began dating someone else. Ariel's obsession became stronger. She tried to kill the female protagonist with the help of perfume and the poison that was in it. However, she was caught and publicly hanged for attempted murder. Looking at herself in the mirror, she realized that a sad outcome awaited her. The maids began to dress Ariel while she was remembering the novel and was incredibly nervous. The girl realized that she had been given a second chance at life, and she could not die so stupidly. She began to think about what she needed to do first to avoid death. On this very day, I had a meeting with that same Cedric. Calling her, she smiled and responded to her name. The lady instantly declared that the time had come to put an end to their relationship with him. She realized that she needed to leave him first in order to avoid death in the future. Ariel stood up from the table and declared that she no longer had feelings for him, and it was time to end this. The guy tried to stop her, telling her not to rush to leave and that he had something to tell her and show her. She smiled and explained that she would send the perfume through a messenger, and there was no need for them to see each other and communicate. She smiled and joked that he would not become a mad dog if she left without any regrets. The guy looked at the girl and repeated the last phrase. The fact is that the girl gave this nickname when she read the novel, for which she immediately apologized. Having said everything she wanted, the girl left the restaurant. After meeting Cedric, Ariel understood why the character was so obsessed with him, because he has a very beautiful face, but dying for him is stupid. She concluded that if they separated, they would no longer intersect. And this meant that there were no more reasons for death and Ariel would be able to live, living the new life that was given to her for the second time. Ariel left the restaurant screaming that she was finally free. Arriving at the palace, the lady saw a tall guy in a dark suit and an elegant fluffy tie. Everyone began to bow without looking up at the man. As it turned out, this man with a dissatisfied face was Ariel's father. The father asked if his daughter had seen Mr. Cedric again. Suddenly, the man started screaming, saying that she was disgracing the honor of the family, and everyone was already pointing fingers at her. And after these statements, he even declared that no matter how hard she tried, Lord Evans would never look at her. In an instant, Ariel hastened to announce that she and Cedric had broken up. The girl said that there was no reason to worry because they had put an end to the relationship. Everyone, including the servants, was shocked by Ariel's loud statements. But instead of support, the father laughed in the girl's face, saying that Cedric had finally broken off their relationship. She tried to explain that the separation was by mutual consent, to which the father again stated that he would never believe it, because she was suspiciously calm. Ariel's patience finally ran out, and she replied that she herself suggested breaking up. The man was amazed and asked to stop this trick because this was just another trick to attract attention. But when Ariel replied that she had lost her feelings for Cedric, her father was furious. The man suggested that they take her temperature because it seemed that she was sick. Ariel asked to stop, saying that she was not sick, but she was very tired and wanted to go to her place. Ariel's father literally almost fainted from such a statement, because she simply did not have the right to conduct a dialogue in such a tone with such a stately man. The lady was very tired, but still she needed to go to the perfumery. The lady asked her maid to be taken away, and on the spot ordered her to leave. The maid was amazed to hear that the mistress wanted her to go and rest. At this, the maid bowed and thanked my lady. Entering the room, she saw a huge table and a shelf on which there were many jars with new scents. The girl began to look at all these jars and touch everything that was there. Taking one of the jars, the lady sniffed, sensing a strong odor. It was a very sweet and strong aroma of blooming roses. Although the smell was very tasty, it was too colorful, causing Ariel to start coughing. Tears appeared in the girl's eyes when she realized that she had lived for a very long time without the ability to smell. In a past life, the girl dreamed of becoming a perfumer and studied a lot to achieve her goal. Before she got sick, the girl was studying chemistry. Suddenly, the lady shook her head and realized that she did not want to remember the past. Ariel began to look for something, some object that should be somewhere in the room. The gaze fell on the chocolate box, which was slightly open. Having opened it all the way, the girl smiled. Realizing that she had found what she was looking for, Ariel found a book where in the novel she always wrote down her recipes. Opening this book, she saw a very strange recipe. The lady saw a recipe for a scent that was supposed to kill the main character. Ariel was horrified as she turned to the next page. Suddenly, her gaze fell on the love perfume that Ariel had once developed to make Cedric fall in love with her. Ariel began to leaf through the book because this was not what she was looking for in it. Suddenly, she finally saw what she needed, perfume in a purple bottle. It was a perfume with the scent of a demonic flower, Onyxia. This legendary flower, which after the gates to the demonic world were closed, can occasionally be found on the eastern continent. Even members of the royal family tried to get this flower because of its uniqueness, but the problem is that this scent is the only medicine that can calm Cedric. When he tried to block out the smell, tragedy struck. The girl concluded that it was terrible, and something like this should be prevented. Suddenly, Ariel was distracted by the announcement that a guest had arrived from the Evans estate. Ariel was quite surprised. A tall guy with brown hair and a sweet smile appeared on the threshold. The girl looked at him, thinking that this was his advisor. The guy asked for forgiveness for such a late visit. Milady smiled and said that everything was in order, and if they had arrived, then there was a reason for it. And also, she would really like to know that reason. The guy handed the lady the box, explaining that she dropped it in the restaurant. In the box, there was a bouquet of blue roses, which the girl used today. The advisor smiled, saying that His Majesty asked to return it to the girl. Ariel was surprised, because usually Cedric didn't care if someone forgot something like that. The lady smiled, lowered her gaze, and then thanked the advisor. The smiling guy asked if Ariel had heard the new news. As it turns out, a festival starts next weekend in the Maitland area. He said that the streets would be clogged, so they should send a carriage to escort the girl. The girl asked why His Highness's people should accompany her. Ariel realized that Cedric's advisor was not aware of their separation. The lady stated that she no longer needed to see him on weekends. Ariel was annoyed that she had to repeat this so many times. The guy asked if Ariel had changed her mind about her decision. She stated that she was not planning a wedding. Ariel asked to send the scent to Anixia, to the Duke's estate. The advisor asked her to send him personally, to which she stated that she had servants and there was no need to worry. The advisor bowed and left the palace. The lady handed that box to the maid, asking her to throw it away. Meanwhile, at His Majesty's estate, the advisor announced that he had returned and was ready to begin work. He looked up when he was informed that Ariel did not regret the breakup one bit. The man said that the lady was not that calm, but rather she looked very pleased and had no regrets about what she had done. Cedric grinned, realizing that this relationship was on her whim, and she would end it on her whim too. The master realized that Ariel was too strange. She did not complain that he was late, and did not stare in anticipation of something. He understood that this girl had kept him by force for a year. The guy thought there had to be a good reason to end the relationship. The advisor suggested that perhaps Cedric had offended Lady Ariel in some way. The only thing Cedric could do was be 10 minutes late today. The guy asked if this separation was good news for the gentleman. At this, the gentleman only became angry, repeating the last phrase. He continued, because the man never had feelings for her, and he only met her because of the promised perfume. He couldn't understand what was wrong with Ariel, because earlier, perfume was her main weapon to make the guy she was so obsessed with fall in love with her. The advisor again suggested that the girl simply stopped loving him, and there was no reason. To this, Cedric said that she could not stop loving him, because this crazy obsession had been like a year, and she could not remove all the feelings with her hand. He did not know the reason for this separation, but the situation was developing in his favor. Cedric didn't understand why he felt so bad about Ariel leaving him, because Cedric never loved Ariel. The man looked away and said that the room smelled unpleasant. He sent an advisor to tell the servants to make sure someone brought him cold water. Ariel spent several days in the perfumery, studying the notebook and reading the recipes that she wrote before she appeared in her new body. Memories that the lady had buried deep within herself due to illness gradually emerged while reading. The girl went through all the scents, mixing them together. Finally, she created the perfume she wanted so badly to create. Ariel looked at her notebook, checking all the ingredients she had written down. Eyes fell on a couple of unusual recipes, for example, perfumes that heal internal wounds that attract people. Knowing this, Ariel realized that she could become a real sorceress thanks to the wonderful gift of perfume. The lady created a perfume whose purpose was to blow away fatigue with one movement. The lady sprayed perfume on herself, trying to see if the perfume worked. Ariel didn't feel anything when one of the maids asked to try it on her. The lady smiled and agreed, because the servant also helped her and could try the scent that they created together. Having sprayed the perfume on the maid, she inhaled it and closed her eyes, waiting for a miracle. Suddenly, the girl began running in circles, saying that she felt a sudden surge of energy. Ariel was very surprised that the effect was immediate. The maid began to work, stirring the petals and trying to channel this energy somewhere. The fair-haired girl shouted that she needed more work. As it turned out, the ingredients to create the perfume ran out. They decided that they needed to go to the Senyon area to buy everything they needed. Having gone there, the lady was delighted because the area was very beautiful and lively. The girls picked a lot of flowers, all different and with a variety of scents. But suddenly, Ariel tripped and fell, knocking over all the flowers that were in her hands right on the floor. Some ladies appeared opposite, declaring that these flowers would not be enough, looking at Ariel with their pathetic gaze. The lady declared that these flowers were too wretched to attract Mr. Cedric's attention. The lady started laughing, saying that they heard that Ariel left the date because Cedric is a busy man. Ariel smiled, realizing that the ladies were trying to get under her skin. The girl thanked the ladies for caring about her feelings. Having collected all the flowers, she replied that there was no longer a need for this, because she and his lordship had parted. The upstart with a fan was shocked by such a loud statement. Everyone began to sarcastically feel sorry for the girl, saying that it was cruel of him to abandon Ariel. They began to say that it is unlikely that anyone will now take the one they left after a long relationship. Ariel smiled and stated that this statement insulted his lordship. She told them that there was nothing strange about people breaking up, and someone would definitely need Cedric after the breakup. They were amazed that the girl initiated the breakup. Concluding to prove this point, the girl asked the upstart to introduce the young lord to her. She stated that instead of the cold duke, she prefers a sweet and kind guy. The lady thought that Ariel was laughing at her because she could not believe that this was really so. She stated that she remembered these words and then left with her group of girls. Ariel grinned, realizing she had nothing else to worry about. Meanwhile, his lordship received a parcel from Ariel. The duke realized that the girl had kept her promise and sent the necessary perfume. The advisor asked to check the perfume because previously the girl had sent him all sorts of love potions. He, in turn, refused the advisor and splashed everything on himself, realizing how talented Ariel is. The man began to wonder what recipe the girl was using because all past perfumes had failed. As it turned out, the box had a double bottom and there was another perfume, the same one that allows you to get rid of fatigue. There was also a note with inscriptions about how these spirits should also help. The man took the bottle, thinking that this was another trick to seduce or fall in love with himself with the help of perfume. The duke decided to check if Ariel had mixed anything into the perfume. He couldn't try everything on himself, so he sprayed the bottle on the advisor. The guy associated everything with the fact that he was lying on a warm, sunny field, and a soothing breeze was blowing across his body. He began to run again and said that he would go to work because adrenaline and energy poured through him from the edges. The man was amused by this reaction, but decided to look at the note. Ariel still had a little of this perfume left, which made her wonder if she would have enough. Holding the notebook in her hands, the girl instantly realized that these pages were worth thousands of gold. The maids asked Lady Ariel to come down to the table because her father was waiting there with an important announcement. Afterwards, he stated that the gentleman was expecting a girl. The lady walked to the table where the father of the family was waiting for her with a menacing, or rather serious, look. Looking at her menacingly, the man ordered her to sit down at the table. After wiping his face with a napkin, he stated that he wanted to tell her something. The father said that Ariel urgently needs to get married. This really amazed the girl because she had only recently broken up with Cedric. He explained that rumors about his separation from the duke had spread. The girl received an offer from the son of people who import currency. The father explained that she needed to marry him and bring her son into the family. Ariel turns 23 this year and is already of marriageable age. The fact is that aristocratic women are often married off for political reasons. Suddenly, the lady got goosebumps because she was given a second chance at life, and she doesn't want to marry a stranger. While the daughter was worried about her fate, the man reasoned that the guy was very handsome. By the way, the lady will marry a handsome, tall, and slender guy, but this is not what Ariel wanted. The girl tried to explain to her father that she wanted to enjoy a little freedom. To this, the duke asked what the girl wanted, since she could fulfill any of her whims in order to save the family's reputation. The man said that he would fulfill her every whim if she responded positively to the proposal and marriage. Ariel smiled and asked for a lot of money this month. At this, the father grimaced and looked at her. The man said he heard that the girl had taken up an old hobby. For a man, the hobby of perfumery was considered too strange and stupid for him to think that it would bring any benefit. He stated that he would give the lady 20,000 encores for one meeting with her boyfriend. Smiling, the girl agreed, skimping on the money. Her new fiancé was a minor character in the novel. This was the guy who kidnapped the main character in the novel and drugged her. Just seeing his smile and bags under his eyes, the lady wanted to run away. Realizing that this boyfriend was just crazy and clearly on something, she asked what kind of disgusting smell was coming from the guy. He asked what was wrong, to which she replied that the smell was very strange. The groom stated that he also felt something similar and needed to tell the manager. Ariel began rummaging through her purse, looking for her new perfume. The man admired it, saying that he knew that the lady collected perfume and it was not only useful, but also very interesting. He tried to compliment her, to which the girl began to spray perfume right in his face. After that, Ariel apologized because the smell was unbearable. The guy was silent and looked at one point after this aroma. The lady began to wave in front of his face, trying to bring him to his senses. Suddenly, he smiled sharply and looking into her eyes. The guy enthusiastically asked what she sprayed at him. The blonde said that he knew the feeling he felt after spraying this scent. The guy with a crazy smile said that it was an aphrodisiac. The girl suddenly remembered that people who use drugs are very sensitive to smells and perceive them differently. It seems that the new boyfriend is not as good as his father said, but rather the opposite. The guy said that he had never seen such brave ladies before, because anyone would have run away from such insolence. After that, the man, like a madman, said that he accepted hints, unlike other children. The girl got scared and pulled her hand back and screamed for him to let her go and not touch her anymore. It seems that the guy was not just a madman, but a real madman, which is why he began to insist that all the ladies' antics were to his liking. Turning away from him, Ariel realized that such a smell could have been left behind by drugs. The man not only looked but also behaved like a drug addict and crazy. Suddenly, the blonde smiled again and pulled her hand, saying that if they were on the same wavelength, then there was nothing to wait for. Frightened, she did not want to go with this abnormal person. She screamed, calling the waiter, hoping for help. The waiter himself was surprised, and Ariel asked to call security because the young man allowed himself too much. The girl was incredibly amazed when the guy began to touch her hand to his chest. This inadequate one declared that his heart beats for my lady. The lady decided that she would need to correct the recipe when she returned home. The blonde turned to the waiter, saying that the lady was just shy, and there was no need to worry about her safety. Suddenly, Cedric himself appeared on the threshold. He looked at the couple with a menacing and embittered look, seeing violence towards the girl. His gaze was full of jealousy and malice, because no one has the right to touch his ex-girlfriend without her consent. He took the impudent man by the hand and asked what was happening here, illuminating the guy with his gaze. The man shouted in fear that his lordship had understood everything wrong. He began to make excuses, saying that he and Ariel were on a date. Ariel watched all this, trying not to get too involved in the brawl. The guy said that the blonde was crazy. He extended his hand to her and, taking her palm, led her along. Cedric asked what he could do to calm my lady down. But, grabbing his dagger, the guy asked if he could wound the madman in the same place. The man fell to his knees, begging to be spared. The guy began to say that Ariel was trying to cause attention and embarrassment with this refusal, to which these words were refuted. The man kicked the rich man's son in the chest so that he fell, and then said that the Marquis did not even teach him good manners. And then he asked the security who had already arrived to take the guy away. The man turned to Ariel and asked what she was doing here, to which she replied that she had the same question for him. Cedric asked why the girl was in the company of such a man, to which Ariel replied that her father insisted on meeting with the son of the Marquis. Ariel concluded that if she had known in advance how this meeting would turn out, she would never have come to meet him. The lady smiled awkwardly and thanked the guy. The man was amazed that they had just broken up, and the lady was already considering him for the role of groom. Although, even if their relationship was built on a contractual basis, it lasted more than 6 months. Cedric stated that in such situations, there should be certain standards. He clarified that she should have discussed the issue with him, and then deal with marriage matters. Ariel hastened to say that their relationship was still a burden to him. To this, he only looked at her gloomily, making it clear that his feelings for her had not cooled down, and some kind of spark still existed between them. Even though they were a couple in public, and quite popular due to their reputation, if she was seen with another man immediately after breaking up with Cedric, rumors would fly away at the speed of light. The girl understood that he was also not pleased, and she must adhere to the appropriate rules. I am involved at all costs. The lady bowed and asked for an apology. Suddenly, the guy asked how long ago the girl decided to meet him, and then find another guy, because even earlier, she was obsessed with the guy. Actually, Ariel didn't think about it. She didn't understand whether she had a choice at all. After all, the girl understood that she could not become Duchess Evans. In a moment, he, surprisingly, not wanting to let the girl go, asked if the lady had changed her mind about breaking up. To this, she smiled and stated that, of course, she was not going to change her decision. The man concluded that if this was his lady's desire, then he should not mind, and then apologized for such questions. And also, Cedric said that her perfume helped a lot, thanks to which his assistant became more efficient. He had already left, for which the girl regretted that she did not have time to ask about Anixia's perfume, or rather, about its effectiveness. Although most likely everything is fine with them, because they say that the absence of news is good news. At the castle, Ariel's father was madly furious because a letter had arrived from the Marquis's estate. The lady was incredibly scared and ashamed in front of her father for what could be in this letter. The man tore up this letter after learning that his daughter had sent the gentleman to jail. Ariel said the man got what he deserved and security took him to task. The father asked what kind of duel there was in the restaurant between the two guys. Ariel stated that Cedric didn't do anything crazy enough to make him angry. She only announced that he had offended her honor. She reported that he said she sprayed him with perfume to seduce him. The man was furious, realizing that the girl was clearly doing something. Ariel tried to explain that she just sprayed perfume on him because he smelled terrible. The angry man said that she should quit this terrible hobby. He literally stood on ears because rumors about this meeting spread throughout the kingdom. The man said that because of this, it is unlikely that anyone would want to marry Ariel. The man shouted that Ariel should immediately go to security headquarters to apologize and asked for Rob to be released. The lady said that even if she wanted to, she could not come there and do what her father asked her to do. The reason for this was that Cedric himself had ordered him to be taken into custody, and it would be rude for her to interfere. The father realized that if the Duke was involved in this, then he could not do anything about it. The father said that he must find a suitable match for his daughter as soon as rumors spread, so that no one would dare to refute the honor of their family and disgrace their reputation. The girl didn't understand how it even occurred to the man, because it was absurd. Fortunately for his father, he hid another letter from Olgan. The girl first wanted to find out how old the new gentleman was, because to this day this is too important. As it turned out, he was already 40 years old, which shocked the lady. The man decided to give his daughter in an arranged marriage. The girl sighed and asked if she needed to marry a rich man as soon as possible. He answered positively because he specifically invested in her upbringing for this purpose. At that moment, Ariel realized that she was just a trading card for this man, a card that will bring more wealth and more benefits to the family. The lady took that same letter and apologized for the fact that at the moment she is considering candidates among beautiful peers. The lady said that if she fails to marry a rich man, she will personally compensate for the losses. The man chuckled and asked if she would reimburse them herself. He asked how she would do this, since spending money is her only ability. The man was right. Ariel did not have fencing skills. She did not know how to control mana, but however, she had a talent. This was her perfumery. The Count may have thought it was child's play, but her perfume is no laughing matter. It is a very powerful weapon. The girl decided to buy out the flower shop. But, alas, she lacked 19,500,000. The lady didn't know what to do because she thought that Ariel would simply be independent of the family income. The girl would have missed it even if she sold all her clothes and jewelry, but she didn't want to open a street shop. The maid asked what was wrong because Ariel looked confused. She began to set up a situation for her if, say, someone really needed money. Ariel asked the girl for advice because now she desperately needed it. The maid said that she should borrow money from someone, so she began to think about who could help her. The maid answered, saying that she could ask the chief steward for help. The lady tried to say that it was her friend who needed money, but alas, the maid realized that she was talking about her. Suddenly, some gray-haired stranger offered to share his opinion about starting a business. He suggested that the lady find an investor to make it easier. The guy said that he knows who Ariel is, but does not want to be misunderstood. After everything, Ariel realized that she was very popular among people because she was an excellent perfumer. The maid asked how he knew all this, although the guy worked in a flower shop where Ariel bought ingredients for perfume. The gray-haired man announced with admiration that all the flower merchants had heard of her, and other perfumers who came to buy flowers mentioned her talent. The lady realized that she could use her recipes to find an investor, and the faster she finds an investor, the faster she can start a business. The lady grabbed him by the hands, thanking him for everything. Ariel walked off into the distance with a satisfied smile, declaring that she seemed to have found a solution. The maid said that this was indeed a good idea and ran after her. It seems that Ariel knew where to find an investor, an event where powerful nobles with good reputations and opportunities who like to dress up gather. The most popular ball became the ideal choice. Among rich people, you can find those who are willing to give their money to a perfume business. Arriving there, everyone looked at Ariel very askance because they knew about the rumors. Ariel herself didn't understand what was wrong with the atmosphere here because earlier, at balls, it was a lot of fun. People talked about how the lady had no shame at all, that the lady walked around with her nose in the air. They discussed how they didn't like the fact that Ariel annoyed the Duke, and also put the unfortunate Mr. Rob behind bars. Suddenly, some girl sharply pushed the lady, declaring that she had not noticed her. She laughed nervously and said that there was nothing wrong with it, realizing that the lady did it on purpose. She couldn't understand what was wrong with Ariel's reputation, because she had previously been very famous among the locals. With such an atmosphere, the girl will not even be able to introduce herself. Suddenly, the stranger defended Ariel, saying that it was not Ariel who put Mr. Marcel behind bars, but Mr. Cedric. She said that if the lady has any problems, then it is worth filing an official complaint to his lordship. And then she turned to people, telling them not to spread baseless rumors. As it turned out, the girl was Charlotte Zenos. Marcel's only child holds all the power in his hands. There is always someone around the daughter of the Marquis due to her origin. In addition, the attractiveness of this girl also played a role. Being the queen of all receptions, she sets trends and fashion. The girl concluded that she needed to thank all these people, because thanks to them, she became close to Charlotte. The lady approached Ariel and asked if she was okay. The girl concluded that this was her chance to get even closer, saying that because of this atmosphere, it became a little stuffy. The lady sniffed and asked if Lady Ariel had put on perfume. Charlotte said that the girl smells like a cherry orchard. Ariel smiled at this and thanked the defender, saying that she had a little doubt about them since it was the first time she had created a perfume with such a scent. Charlotte asked if the girl made the perfume herself, to which she tried to demonstrate. She offered the girl new perfume as a sign of gratitude. To this, Charlotte stated that she was forced to refuse because her body does not allow the use of perfume. She was allergic to alcohol, which the girl knew, of course. The fact is that in the novel, Charlotte's sensitivity to perfume was mentioned more than once. To this, Ariel smiled and stated that she made this perfume without using alcohol. To this, Ariel was incredibly happy with Charlotte's surprise, because this was the first attempt and a very successful one. Ariel asked the lady to demonstrate so that she could understand what was going on. At this, the blonde grinned incredulously but still agreed. Ariel sprayed it on her wrist, thanks to which the aroma became deeper. The sweet smell of lilac filled the entire space. The girl was pleased to feel as if there were many flowers nearby. Ariel began to explain how she made this perfume, saying that she used a perfume mana machine to create it, so even people with allergies can use it. She smiled, asking if this was really the reason why she came to the ball. Charlotte cleverly suggested that Ariel was looking for an investor. She began to explain her guesses that at first, the girl said that it was just a hobby, but it turned out no worse than a professional. She concluded that Ariel wanted to attract her attention. The lady made it clear to her that she guessed that she took advantage of the fact that the girl uses perfume for advertising purposes. Charlotte understood for sure that this perfume was made especially for the girl. Ariel was incredibly embarrassed by such praise and vigilance of the lady. Charlotte said that the girl had nothing to be embarrassed about because anyone would fall in love with such perfume. She stated that the lady has no sales skills, but the perfume is really worthwhile. The lady explained that these praises do not mean that she will become her investor. The blonde smiled and announced that she was inviting Ariel to her family's ball, where there would be many wealthy people. The lady was very amazed that she deserved this invitation, to which she became more embarrassed and looked away. Meanwhile, the advisor asked if Cedric was going to attend the ball. The man replied to have the guy send Charlotte a confirmation reply. The maids began to gather Ariel for the ball, asking if she was worried. Ariel was afraid that Lena would worry, so she didn't tell her anything, but it was not clear what to do if this happened again. The maid began to ask the girl who would be at the ball and why she would go there. The devoted maid began to encourage the girl, saying that she had the best perfume. She said that all she had to do was tell her that someone had offended her. At this, the lady smiled, realizing that the maid was behaving strangely. Ariel concluded that she had already survived one evening, and she would no longer tolerate such treatment. The lady decided that she would try to change people's opinions about her. Finally, the lady was dressed and collected. She looked incomparable. She had a number of rules for this evening, one of which was that she should approach first, to show that she was not hostile. It is imperative to make it clear that the girl is not an enemy, but a business mother who is looking for an investor. But because of her own insecurity, the girl spoke very slurredly and always stuttered. All of them, hearing her last name without hiding their emotions, grimaced and asked again. And then they started talking about how they were too busy and it was better for the girl to leave. The girl was already glad that there was no abuse directed at her, and she was finally able to introduce herself. She decided to try harder and desperately approached people at the ball. But absolutely every person Ariel wanted to talk to frowned and looked at her incredulously. Ariel was very embarrassed. The girl sat in the corner and watched how people made her feel superfluous. Ariel didn't understand what was wrong with her and why these people were acting as if she had killed someone. She didn't understand what she should do so that when people hear her name, they don't make a sour face. Suddenly, Charlotte approached her, asking if she was enjoying the evening. The lady decided to open up to the blonde, saying that in truth, she had not yet managed to start a conversation with anyone. At this, Charlotte smiled, saying that she seemed to know what was going on. She grabbed Ariel's chin, asking what Ariel's main asset was that she could provide for the evening. This is difficult, because the people gathered here are famous rich people and promising businessmen who want to get their hands on it. She explained that in such a place, the most important thing is money. Then she added that these people do not know about her talents for fragrance, and they can only be attracted by profit. Realizing that people were interested in money and business, the girl seemed to have an epiphany. She realized that if she wants to declare herself as a business lady in need of an investor, then she needs to represent the perfume first and foremost, and not herself. The main character may be another person, but for her, Ariel is the main one. The girl said that she fell in love with her perfume and wants to buy or purchase more. Lady Charlotte was right. The girl should show off her perfume in all its glory. Suddenly, the lady turned to the people who were at the ball only recently, making faces. She sprayed some perfume, saying it was her own, inviting them to try it. One of the ladies, looking at them, decided to try. This perfume was beautiful and, of course, the girl really liked its aroma and the effect it gave. Everyone in the room said they smelled even better than real flowers. Ariel smiled and thanked everyone for their flattering words. And so the lady decided to make herself known, saying that she was opening her own market, where you could try even more similar perfumes. She hurried to tell her that she needed a lot of money for this, when someone suddenly approached from behind. A girl with a bob in uniform asked what was going on here. Next, she asked who made this perfume. Learning that Ariel made it, Charlotte concluded that the ladies would find a common language. This lady had a deeper knowledge of perfumes. Ariel was surprised that the new lady was as new as she was, so she concluded that they could become competitors, but in a positive way. Ariel awkwardly gave a positive answer, saying that she personally created this perfume. The competitor hastened to say that it was immediately clear that this was a low-grade spike comb. Ariel was shocked by such envious audacity and could not understand why, if that girl was a brilliant perfumer, then how could she feel what she was missing? But being talented, the girl makes her products for sale for the first time. Ariel thought that the lady could point out her mistakes and help her with something. The girl smiled awkwardly and asked to repeat the previously spoken words. To this, she repeated all these insults towards the perfume, not embarrassed by anything and not afraid to offend Ariel. Not wanting in turn to seem rude, the lady smiled and asked to point out her mistakes, since she was such a talented competitor. She looked away and explained that the refreshing scent would have a citrus base, and the main ingredients were lemon and orange. She also explained that these perfumes would not last long. To this, Ariel asked how this differs from ordinary citrus perfumes if the citrus quickly disappears. And the professional suddenly asked what the highlight of Ariel's perfume was. She asked me to spray it and try it before calling it a pacifier. Everyone started giggling, saying that such a specialist as Lady Magnus could not be wrong. She said that Lady Ariel should learn from Lady Magnus. Ariel concluded that these people showed whose side they were and always will be on. The lady realized that she had to fight to prove the value of this fragrance. She easily snatched the perfume from Magnus's hands. She said that first she would introduce this scent to her, and then she would explain everything. The girl was just about to spray perfume right in the face of that competitor when the main character of the evening appeared. Charlotte greeted Cedric. He smiled at the ladies, thanking them for the invitation. As it turned out, the main investor was Cedric, and it was he who was supposed to take over someone's business. Turning around, he saw Ariel, who was very nervous to see her former boyfriend. He asked what they were talking about with the other lady. The competitor answered truthfully what they said about Lady Ariel's perfume. She began to talk about how she couldn't understand how it was possible to show up for the evening with such cheap prices. Suddenly, the guy started talking, trying to defend his ex. He asked if Magnus had tried spraying perfume. The Count stated that this girl's perfume has a unique property. He said that thanks to the perfume, his subordinate's performance has increased significantly, and even now he enjoys using them. The girl looked away and asked if Magnus was capable of creating something like that. The man asked her not to talk nonsense, knowing nothing in particular, looking menacingly at the lady straight in the eyes. Ariel was amazed that Cedric decided to protect her. But either way, Ariel was annoyed that she didn't need help at all. She needed recognition for her scent. All the ladies, like a herd, began to say that if his lordship himself decided to protect the lady, then it was worth paying attention to Lady Winston's perfume. Ariel looked away and said that she would go away for a minute and come back. With these words, she left the ball to come up with the plan she needed. At this, Cedric looked at her and asked why she was leaving. The lady concluded that if only Magnus would try to catch her eye. From now on, Ariel will force them all to write a book of compliments for her perfume. She realized that she had enough for today and she would return home to correct the recipe. But suddenly, Ariel was stopped by Cedric's rough voice. He looked at her worriedly, coming a little closer. She asked if the evening was not in full swing and why he suddenly turned his attention to her again. The guy was embarrassed that Ariel hastily left. It was strange knowing what kind of person Cedric was. He was worried about her spoiled mood. Ariel told herself that she had to be strong and not let this man get to her. But suddenly the girl declared that the Count's act was very unpleasant to her. She explained that they had already broken up, which meant that he had no reason or need to interfere in her affairs. She asked if he had put an end to their relationship. Ariel stated that he was very impudent and she could handle Lady Magnus herself. She explained that because of his interference, things were not going according to plan. Saying this, Ariel was not at ease in her soul. She was not entirely sure that Cedric would understand everything. The advisor brought the necessary documents to Cedric, saying that His Highness was early. Suddenly, he asked whether his actions were causing trouble. To put it bluntly, the guy was at a loss at this. He asked why he did as he pleased without caring about others. He could not understand that with His Highness, it seemed that someone had scolded him. The advisor quickly refuted his own words, because who would even dare to insult the Duke? He quickly concluded that it had something to do with Lady Winston. When asked how he found out, the guy said that she was often the reason for his bad mood. He asked Cedric to share the problem with him, because he could give useful advice. The Duke began to speak, saying that the lady's confused look gave him an impetus and a desire to help. The man himself did not understand why he followed her then. He tried to explain that she seemed upset and could not do otherwise. The man warily recalled the desperately irritated look and the words that he was acting selfishly. The advisor was incredibly surprised, because Lady Winston herself cursed His Highness. He admitted that this really bothers him. The blonde realized that Cedric was not indifferent to the girl, and it seemed cute to the guy. He didn't know what the reason was, but Lady Winston had changed a lot, so there was nothing to worry about. The advisor suddenly suggested that he apologize to Lady Winston. The guy began to try to explain why this could upset the lady, despite the fact that the man acted in the lady's interests. The man looked away and sighed, agreeing with the idea of apologizing to Ariel. He began to write a letter, ordering it to be sent to the Winston estate at dawn. The maid handed the letter from Cedric to Ariel, smiling sweetly. She read the letter, which said that the man had behaved extremely tactlessly at the evening. He said that the words Ariel said made him think, and he would like to see each other and apologize. Cedric invited the lady to the restaurant to apologize. She arrived in a small carriage with 2 white horses. The girl thought that she had gone too far yesterday, because no one had treated Cedric like that before, and he must be shocked. But she concluded that it would be nice to get an apology, which is why she is here. Therefore, Ariel was very nervous because she didn't want to offend someone and then get hurt later. The girl asked the carriage to stop because she wanted to walk. He pointed to the side, indicating to the lady where the restaurant was. There was still time before the appointed hour, so the girl decided to take a walk. But suddenly a disgusting sound was heard. Someone just took a photo of Ariel from behind, blending into the crowd. Noticing the camera, the lady was surprised, but more importantly, scared. She screamed for the man with the camera in his hands to immediately remove it, thereby attracting the attention of the crowd. The stranger acted very strangely and ran away. She took away, or rather caught, his camera being shocked. The girl couldn't understand why the guy ran away so quickly because it was simply impossible. Seeing that he was planning to run away, she had already come up with a plan in her head. She ran after him, shouting for people to hold this perverted man. He ran, shouting that he was simply following orders. But suddenly, Cedric tripped him up when he fell to the floor. Thanks to this, Ariel caught this pervert. The man asked what this poor fellow had done. To this, it was a little difficult for Ariel to speak, because she just had to catch her breath. The man suggested we talk in a restaurant. The stranger was forced to his knees, saying that he was illegally photographing people without their consent. She said she caught the camera, which he threw away while trying to escape. Cedric decided that it was worth checking the photographs taken. There he saw a bunch of candid photographs of himself. He stated that he had his own thoughts on this matter and would try to figure it out. Ariel was calm, because there was only one photo of her anyway. Upon learning that this poor fellow had also photographed Ariel, he frowned deeply. The man asked to inform the guard so that he could be punished. The man was taken away, leaving his ex in misunderstanding. Cedric apologized, lowering his head. He cursed himself guiltily, saying that he had made an appointment to apologize, but again caused her trouble for which he should apologize. The girl could not understand why the man apologized so much for every rustle he made. Ariel looked away and stated that she was fine and not to worry. But suddenly, Ariel smiled and stated that she realized that she had been rude and would like to apologize. The man said that he had treated her without due respect for a long time and owed her a lot of compensation for everything. He also added that even considering that the relationship was bound by a contract, he could not take care of her. He also explained that even the difficulties that she experienced after the breakup were his fault. The man offered the lady compensation. Suddenly, the lady was in shock because money would come in handy now. With one click, the man assigned the girl personal security. The count said that Ern protects Ariel perfectly and is responsible for her with his head. Taking off her helmet, Ariel saw how handsome her bodyguard was. The guy said that Lady Winston could rely on him. Cedric, jealous of the lady, asked him to put on a helmet because a knight should not reveal himself so easily. To this, Ariel objected that it would be very hot to stand in a helmet. Ariel did not understand why Cedric gave her his knight, to which he replied that he could defend himself, and Ariel would need help more than once. For the lady, it sounded strange and a little offensive, but she concluded that nothing good would happen if something like this happened again. The man was a recognized knight of Cedric, so he could be trusted. Ariel stated that she would temporarily accept all of his kindness as compensation. Ariel smiled and said that the knight could return when she gained strength because she could take care of herself. At this, the man got down on one knee and bowed. Taking the lady's hand, he kissed her and asked her to take care of him. The girl smiled and then embarrassedly announced that she would go and hurried away. The man asked if Ariel should accompany him, to which she replied that it was not worth it because she was not a small child who could not even go out on her own. And then she explained that her carriage was very close. She asked Cedric not to worry because Aaron was nearby, to which the man frowned too much for it to be missed. She was about to leave when the man stopped her again. He wanted to ask about Anixia's scent. The man stated that he wanted to change the contract, to which Ariel was surprised. The girl immediately began to think that there were some problems with delivery. And then I even thought that a man could cut down the price by paying off a bodyguard. And so he started talking about payment, but suddenly announced that he would double it. But in return, he asked to resume the eternal meetings, twice a week. The man said that he could pay even more because the order was very complex. Ariel couldn't understand why Cedric was suddenly acting this way. But still, Anixia's perfume is her impressive capital, and if the payment increases, she will be able to open a store faster. Ariel smiled and happily agreed, because you need to be able to use any kindness. The girl again revealed her smile to Cedric and waved to Cedric and said that she would look forward to meeting again. The Duke responded to this by simply asking him to be careful on the way home. The head maid had a lot of questions when Aaron arrived at the palace. To this, Ariel said that there is no need to be afraid of this 2-meter guy. Aaron nodded and introduced himself, stating that he was a bodyguard sent by the Duke. The maid smiled and stated that she was pleased to hear that Ariel was protected. She approached the bodyguard and announced that now they can punish all the scoundrels who encroach on my lady. Ariel was incredibly shocked, saying that fortunately they would get along. Raphael came into the room, bringing in his hands the ingredients that were delivered today, and she left them in the workshop. Entering the perfume room, she smelled this aroma, such a clean and clear smell, so fresh and would dispel all unnecessary thoughts. She extended her hand to the new spruce branches that gave freshness to the air. The maid suddenly suggested crushing it right now as quickly as possible. This time, a magical device was used for the essence. Ariel decided that she needed to choose a target for this scent. Aaron stood behind her and watched carefully. A clear, clean, refreshing aroma. This is what Ariel's new bodyguard was crazy about. Looking at the guard, she concluded that she had already decided on the concept. The lady took the guy by the hand, asking him for help. The bodyguard was quite embarrassed and began to get nervous. When the man entered the room, everyone was quite interested. Ariel bought expensive clothes for her boyfriend, considering it a worthy investment. Besides, it suits him very well. Aaron asked why all this, to which Ariel asked not to communicate with her as a mistress. He wondered why she thought he would really benefit her. To this, she stated that this goes without saying, because he can really help her with her plan. Ariel made the decision that Aaron would become the icon of the social club. The girl sprayed the new product onto the guy's brush. This scent, called Morning Walk, was based on cedarwood extract. Ariel added the scent of bergamot and invigorating notes of bamboo, finishing it with refreshing lemon. Ariel's bodyguard was very amazed at the girl's talent. Suddenly, a guy appeared in the hall, declaring that he did not know Ariel yet and wanted to fix it. The girl quickly ran up to him, introducing herself as a brilliant perfumer. He said that he had heard about her, because she created Lady Charlotte's perfume. Ariel said that she was very pleased, and it was a great honor for her that I was beginning to recognize her. The stranger announced that the smell of lilac simply turned his head. Sniffing the bodyguard, he concluded that this refreshing and simply incomparable aroma was also the work of Ariel. The guy simply, without any emotion, confirmed these words. The man began to admire her aroma, saying that it was like being in a coniferous forest, and this clean and refreshing smell gave him peace. Since the scent suits Mr. perfectly, this feeling is enhanced. Afterwards, the long-haired man announced that he was very interested and thought that he could use her perfume. She began to explain that such a scent did not suit her. If she used it on herself, it would not make the right impression. She asked if Mr. knew that the aroma creates an impression of a person. An invigorating aroma is energetic, a warm aroma is tender, a luxurious aroma can give an impression. She stated that perhaps by spraying it on herself, it would match this bodyguard, especially his face and look. The men literally threw money at the girl, asking where and how she could buy this perfume. And then he even declared that he would buy literally 3 bottles from her. The lady knew that these people were VIPs of a social club, and rumors about her perfume would fly apart in an instant. Ariel, delighted with the money, said that she would send the order straight to the estate. The girl in the perfume shop knocked over quite a few bottles on herself. She became very angry and began to tremble, gritting her teeth and growling in anger. The lady screamed that she was very angry, that because of this Ariel Winston she had enough problems. After all, everything has been going wrong ever since they ignored her. All the investors wanted and asked to make magic perfume, and not understanding how she couldn't do it, because even Ariel could do it. The land that the rival has reconsidered has unexpectedly increased in price, and opening a salon could be a huge mistake. It seems that the lady was crazy, hating Ariel because she dared to disgrace her and humiliate her in the eyes of all investors. She stated that she would not forgive. No matter what, she would not pay Ariel with the same coin. Suddenly, a silhouette appeared behind the girl, asking if she was Magnus. The stranger smiled and said that Ariel had really disgraced her in front of everyone. Magnus asked who he was, to which the stranger asked not to be so harsh. Then, he proposed to start collaborating against Ariel. But the lady was not going to sign anything or start cooperation until she knew who it was and what kind of person it was. The man pulled down his hood and introduced himself, saying that he was AZI, that is, the 5th son of the Empire. The girl was very surprised that the prince himself invited her to cooperate against her main enemy. When asked why he began to cooperate with her, he replied that he hated Cedric Evans. He handed the girl a photograph of Evans, insulting the master in every possible way. Having seen those same candid photographs, she did not know what emotion she should experience, which made her simply grimace. The lady was amazed and asked why the man was pursuing Mr. Evans. To this, he replied that he had been trying to identify his weaknesses for a long time, but nothing worked. To this, the girl said that this is logical, because this is the ideal Mr. Duke. But he continued, saying that he found out who Ariel Winston was. Cedric's only concern was her obsession, and then he said that he found out that they had recently broken up, to which the girl was surprised, because they seemed very close. The man replied that their relationship had always been suspicious. That is why he decided to captivate Ariel's heart with the help of his appearance. The lady said that this was nonsense, to which he replied that to win, all means are good. He offered to shake hands with Fonty, saying that he would help her, so she needed to do everything to destroy Ariel's business. Further, according to the plan, when she loses heart, the guy will make his move and make her fall in love with him. Fonta concluded that there was no danger from this crazy plan. One thing they couldn't understand was whether that guy was partial to Ariel. The guy thought it would be funny to see the rejected Cedric burst into tears. And Fonta thought that it would be cool to laugh at how Ariel's business would go down in flames and she would go bankrupt. After shaking hands, the man and the girl entered into a contract. The man grinned, saying that now we need to get down to business. A couple of days later, Ariel walked through the city and called for Raphael. The guy greeted the lady, distracted from his flowers. The lady thanked the guy for the ingredients, saying that they helped her a lot. She stated that her new perfume, based on cedar extract, has gained enormous popularity. The perfumes were not just popular, they literally monopolized the market for men's perfume. The lady said that at this rate, she would soon be able to open her own store on her own. The guy looked at her awkwardly, asking her to walk with him. He said that a new salon opened yesterday and he thought she should take a look at it. Arriving there, the girl realized that this was the new Magnus salon. She decided to take a peek, looking at how the salon was organized, realizing that there were still a lot of goods there, in addition to perfumes. For a moment, the girl wondered if rumors had already spread about their conflict with that rival. The guy said that if she took a look at this salon, it might do her good. There were a lot of people in the salon who were happy about the opening of Lady Magnus's salon. The flavors were not bad, and the price was quite reasonable, which made people very happy. Suddenly, the lady saw her perfume on sale, with the scent of lilac, barely noticeably enveloping her body. It was very suspicious, and it seems the girl really stole Ariel's perfume. Having sniffed another perfume, she smelled the same scent of cedar, which, apparently, was also simply stolen from her. The guy asked the girl to look up the name of the perfume. The title was Memories of First Love and Others a Night Walk. That's what the guy wanted to show, that this store stole all her work from her. Ariel didn't even have anything to object to, because the situation was clear as day. Fanta indeed exposed her precious recipes as cheap, thereby taking revenge on Ariel with reciprocal humiliation. Ariel was furious when she realized that Fauna Magnus was indeed challenging her, trying to humiliate and disgrace her in a big way. Suddenly, Fanta appeared with her friend, declaring that such a cheap thing had finally entered a luxury store. She stated that they had not seen each other for a very long time, emphasizing that the brilliant perfumer Ariel Winston was walking from house to house with goods, thereby humiliating her. Ariel was incredibly angry and irritated, similar to the statements of her worst enemy. Suddenly, the girl looked up at the guy who was standing behind Magnus, grinning, assenting faithfully. Ariel realized that she had definitely seen this familiar face somewhere. Seeing the girl's gaze, he winked at her and smiled, trying to seduce her. Suddenly, Aurel remembered where she had seen this pretty face. She realized that this was the 5th prince of the Beller Empire. In the book, he appeared as a brilliant, handsome man and was described as the main pain of the Empress. Ozzy's most important setup as a character is that he is Cedric's nephew. Most likely because Cedric was too perfect, AZI hated and was very jealous of his uncle. He asked Ariel, trying to figure out her personality. The man looked into her eyes, asking if she had any complaints against him. Fanta was quick to boast that her investor was a member of the imperial family. Mangus began to humiliate and gloat the girl, saying that Ariel does not have a penny. The rival grinned and told Ariel not to worry because someday there will definitely be a person who will recognize Ariel's talent, which is not there. Ariel, on the other hand, could not understand why the lady was selling stolen perfume and behaving so shamelessly. The girl suggested that most likely AZI had been fooled, which is why he became an investor. The girl realized that she wouldn't just leave it like that, asking what inspired her to create this perfume, trying to understand her right from the bottom. Ariel immediately explained that this perfume seemed very familiar to her, even too much. Fanta was silent, to which Ariel irritably asked to say a word. AZ tried to defend this situation, saying that Fanta naturally would not respond because he was the one who came up with the concept. Ozzy began to lie as best he could, inventing a story that on that day, for some reason, lilac and bamboo captivated him, asking him to stop pestering the unfortunate front. Ariel was shocked to realize that AZI was in league with this girl, and she had not deceived him in any way. But suddenly, Magnus could not stand it, and began to say that she knew that Ariel wanted to say that she stole the recipes from her. But as it turned out, the girl didn't even hide it, saying that no one would believe someone who doesn't even have her own store. And this deception and theft, Ariel will not prove in any way, is connected with Fanta's strong status as an investor. The girl smiled and showed Ariel that she wanted her to leave. The pink one, in turn, understood that if she left the place even for a short time, the queue would be simply huge. Everyone liked this perfume. The man winked at the lady again, saying that he would see her again, and perhaps very soon. Ariel concluded that thanks to Magnus, she realized the need for her own store. She decided that she would find an investor at absolutely any cost. The man returned to his chambers, sighing languidly, and also began to take off his own tie. The advisor immediately ran up to the gentleman, asking how everything went. He also asked if the man had lunch at the meeting with businessmen. To this, the gentleman said that these conversations and gatherings were simply unbearable. Then the advisor said that he had good news for the Duke, because today on the Rue Seignon they were gossiping that Lady Ariel was looking for an investor. Then he understood why the girl was present at the evening. The advisor said that this was a great chance, because the man himself recognized the quality of her perfume. To this, he replied that he did not think that he was the one whom the lady would like to see. Then the guy said that he had heard that the girl had been in an unpleasant incident. As far as he remembers, the concept of perfume was stolen from her, but he didn't know the details because someone told him about it too. Suddenly, lighting up the boy with a madly angry look, he demanded that Rick find out everything about this incident. The maid wanted to wake up Lady Ariel when she suddenly discovered that she was in the perfume room, and also concluded that the lady was not short of diligence. Having gone to the right place, the lady found that the lady was lying with her forehead in the notebook and sleeping. Apparently, she fell asleep while she was trying to think of a new concept. Waking up, Ariel began to drink tea while the maid cleaned her desk. The sleepy diva thanked Rena, saying that she brought her back to life. The lady worriedly asked if everything was okay with the lady, to which she replied that everything was normal, except that her head was about to burst and her nose was itching. The maid asked how it was possible to sit over the perfume all night if she said that the perfume needed to be finished within 2 hours. To this, the pink-haired one said that otherwise they would not see investors. To which the maid was concerned and said that you still need to take care of your health. She said that she would prepare the bathroom for the lady, and after that she would have to go to bed, and this was not discussed. Ariel may have overdone it, but the result is worth it, because she has developed a new product and sketched out a business plan, and all that remains is to find an investor, and her business will take off. Ariel immediately concluded that this sleepless night was an excellent decision. Suddenly, the butler announced that the lady had arrived and he was already waiting for her. What a surprise Ariel was when that same guest turned out to be Cedric. Also, it was funny that Cedric's advisor was in the same state as Ariel. The girl came down the stairs and asked what brought the guy here, to which the Duke stated that his matter was urgent, and he apologized for not informing him of his arrival in advance. The man said that not only the perfume that she made for him could be urgent in their relationship, but in a moment, Cedric said that he had heard rumors that the lady's perfume recipes had been stolen. The man handed the girl a product that was made from the perfume stolen from her. Ariel was surprised that rumors of this spread so quickly. She looked up sadly, asking the man if he believed her, because it could be that she stole the perfume from her. To this, he said that he had the opportunity to try many fragrances created by her, and such cheapness would definitely not fool him. But suddenly, Cedric said that he had heard that the girl was looking for an investor, to which he offered his candidacy. Cedric is already in charge of many businesses. If a reliable businessman and investor Cedric invests in her business, it will definitely become successful. But the girl wondered what if he suggested this out of a feeling of remorse. Ariel had a strong, uncomfortable feeling that she was using Cedric. But for an investment, the lady has conditions and she thinks that he will not mind. The investor asked to show everything that the lady had already prepared, and he would happily choose everything that he considered necessary for promotion. The girl had prepared one unique perfume that resembled the smell of roses. Ariel took the Duke by the hand, asking him to go to the laboratory, because she could show everything right now. Rena was entrusted with preparing everything so that the new investor would look at what he would invest his money in. To begin with, the girl provided her with a business plan, which she worked on for about a day. Ariel's first goal is a salon. She has developed a plan to open it, and it also provides the concept of her new product. Her nerves were stronger than the girl thought. She was afraid that the man would not like her plan, and even worse, her product. But suddenly, Cedric announced that the business plan was excellent, and he was very impressed. The girl shared that in the future she would like to supply perfume to the palace, and it would be nice to open a second store. Ariel apologized for these words because she was too worried. But suddenly the Duke said that he would like to test the new product, asking if it was possible. To this, the lady happily agreed, saying that this perfume is called Garden of Roses, and she used Velour rose and Turkish rose as the main components. This emphasizes the innocent purity of the scent, and the guy can smell the roses, which is different from other perfumes on the mass market. She sprayed the perfume on the man's wrist, to which the advisor said that this scent was like being in a garden in the morning, in which the most beautiful roses were collected, absorbing drops of dew. The aroma is the embodiment of the noble rosebush. Thanks to the fabulous aroma, a play of imagination resulted in the man seeing the Duke showered with rose petals. The Duke himself concluded that such a scent could not be found anywhere else. The girl felt differently when it was Cedric who praised her and not her servants. Since the man approved not only the business plan but also the product, he stated that the business plan is so detailed that it is even difficult to believe that this is a beginner's project. Moreover, Ariel has superbly proven her outstanding abilities in creating perfume. And so, the man finally announced that he had decided to invest in this business. With the words that Ariel would not disappoint Cedric, they left, expecting new meetings. The advisor said that it was not in vain that they went to the Winston estate. This is true because the man managed to get an excellent project and he saw, it seems, a soon-restored couple. Surprisingly, the man already knew who to suspect. He stated that this could cause trouble for Lady Winston, so it would be worth keeping an eye on him. Cedric was sincerely flattered that in the future he would become Lady Winston's partner, and all her problems were now common to them. The maid began to praise the girl and congratulate her on the fact that they would soon open their own store. To this, Ariel stated that Knight Ern also did a good job. Despite Cedric's help, there was too much to do, and the girl personally decided to take care of the store's affairs. The girl did not want to rest. She was embarrassed to waste time. Ariel was wondering when Cedric would contact her, when suddenly the knight and the maid burst into her chambers, reporting that the Duke had sent the necessary information, or rather the fact that the construction of the store was completed. The guys went to look at the store, or rather the Ariel perfume shop. The lady was surprised to receive the news, because the Duke had said that it would take at least several months. In fact, the man demanded that the construction be completed as quickly as possible. Entering inside, the girl was incredibly excited, but once inside, she gasped with delight. Ariel couldn't believe that this was really her store, to which Cedric said that the second floor here was tripled so that you could live there. And the store had a hall, a kitchen, and of course a laboratory, which was quite surprising. Ariel dreamed of having her own store all her life. She was even ready to cry, realizing that she had really fulfilled this cherished dream, one might say, that she had 2 lives. But the surprises didn't end there. The store also had its own garden, where Ariel could grow the plants needed to create the perfume. While the girl was looking at the flowers, the maid said that she wanted to try the kitchen, asking if they wanted tea. But suddenly the knight asked for forgiveness, saying that now was not the right time for tea, because the guests outside the doors were already waiting. The girl was extremely shocked, because they didn't really advertise this store, but a lot of people had already come running. Meanwhile, the maliciously envious woman watched the opening, realizing that she had failed to break Ariel's spirit and desire to develop as a perfumer. The girl burst into the sleeping Keelan, calling him a moron. She concluded that the man only knows how to make good speeches, but in reality he is of no use or help. Mugnus screamed that a man had no right to sleep in such a situation because all the customers had gone to Ariel. To this, the pale-faced man said that it was a trifle, and you shouldn't get so angry about it. Magnus shouted that before the official opening, people crowded around Ariel's salon, and not only that because of this, not even an ant would come into her store, but also Cedric became her investor. The blonde said that he had already scouted out the situation. The girl said that he should initially deprive the lady of investors, instead of talking about trifles, because he promised to take Ariel on himself. He said that Fonta was too narrow-minded, because in order to plunge a person into the abyss of despair, you need to give him a taste of victory, and then take it away. The man said that the girl should follow him, because he had a way to pull off a good plan. Finally, the workday is over, and Ariel saw off the last client. The day was a success, and the store is officially open. A week had already passed since they officially opened, and during the opening hours, the girl served customers. And as the sun set, she worked on perfume. Managing the affairs of the store, the lady felt within herself that business was not so simple. But the most pleasant thing for the girl was watching her money accumulate. The lady concluded that Cedric would be very happy with such a profit, but first she announced that she would go shopping for ingredients. Walking around the city, Ariel kept saying that they would need lilacs, roses, and cedar. She wanted to say that they would quickly buy it and immediately return when she saw the way people in the city were looking at her. These people instantly disappeared, and Ariel realized that the people were avoiding her. Suddenly, Raphael ran up to the lady, asking if the girl had noticed the strange behavior of people. The guy told what happened at the opening of their salon, 2 suspicious people in raincoats appeared on the street of flower shops and offered to promise not to sell the ingredients to Ariel's perfume salon. For this, they will receive 20 million encores every day. Ariel immediately realized that this was the work of Magnus and Keelan. This was logical, because without the ingredients there would be no perfume and customers would go to the Magnus store. The girl assumed that they would create obstacles, but did not think that it would be so artless. The guy said that he personally refused, because he was coming on the side of the mistress. But suddenly Ariel announced that she was not going to meekly endure this, and would take appropriate measures. At the table, the girl said that last night she was thinking about a way out, and she has 2 solutions. The first is to pay a large sum and lure the merchants, and the second, to personally grow the ingredients in their garden. But since they do not have the proper funds, the option is obvious. Suddenly, the maid asked if it was time for them to intervene. Although he seems like a small fry, he still has royal blood in him, and she could be imprisoned for insulting the royal family. The girl was surprised to see Cedric standing right in front of her. To this, the knight said that it was he who contacted him, because it seemed to him that the lady was in a rather difficult situation, and he thought that His Highness could help. Ariel realized that the guy was right, because if Cedric intervened, there would be no need to even worry about the matter. He is the girl's investor. This reason is enough to ask him to intervene. But suddenly, the pale-faced woman declared that she wanted to solve this problem on her own and in no other way. And like a child, Ariel asked the Duke to give her at least a hint of what to do. To this, he asked if the girl knew Gebert, because she is the head of a large trade guild. And also, she is responsible for the circulation of various goods. Her trading guild has connections with many families and plays a huge role in the economy of the Beller Empire. And also, Jaina is always looking for an opportunity for a deal. The man heard that they were currently settled on the border of Bel Air. Cedric suggested that the lady make a deal with the woman. They arrived at the place and apparently saw a trade guild. They simply left the capital, as if they were in another country. A man with blue hair greeted the girls, extending his hand to them and asking them what business they were here for. Ariel introduced herself, stating that she had arrived to meet with Mrs. Jaina, to which he was surprised by the guests and demanded to follow him. Ariel suddenly realized that Cedric was right, and here, there is everything that a girl is looking for, and everything is fresh. The lady concluded that no matter what, she must conclude this deal. Jaina asked where her guests were coming from. The girl said that she came from the Winston family, to which she replied that she would not chat much with her, and would immediately say that she was not going to make a deal with her. She apologized, saying that before visiting, she should have studied the etiquette of the Merchant Guild. The blonde laughed at the fact that Lady Ariel had actually done this. She promised to tell the lady about the etiquette of the Trade Guild, because there is nothing complicated here. Charlotte said that the most important thing for the Trade Guild is goods, and Lady Jaina speaks only to those who present her with things she likes. She brought with her a golden vase decorated with jewelry. Ariel realized that she likes expensive things, and for that matter, she would like to give her perfume, but she knows absolutely nothing about it. The girl asked if there was any information on what would be best to give her as a gift. To this, Charlotte announced that she had heard that lately they had been overcome by the Scarens. Macarons are birds with a very bad character, and Scarens love to hunt, so they often go to the forest, and every time they cause problems for travelers. These birds have a very developed sense of smell, and when any attempt is made to catch them, the Scarens pick up the scent of a person and fly away. Charlotte offered to go there personally and show herself in hunting wild birds. But suddenly she abruptly changed her mind, saying that she did not have enough time, but then suggested her close friend for this role. Ariel choked on her tea when she found out that this friend was Cedric. But suddenly the blonde asked the girl why she was so surprised. Did she really not like Cedric? Although the point was not whether she liked him, but the fact that according to the plot of the original, he is such a frightening person that no one dares to say his name. However, having met him in person, she realized how very different he was from the novel. Despite the first impression, he turned out to be extremely sensitive and polite. Therefore, her feelings for Cedric began to appear, which was quite frightening. Ariel hastened to explain that she and Cedric have a relationship as an investor and business owner, and she is unlikely to contact him for personal reasons. The lady had a feeling that she had become very disconnected from the original goal, because recently she wanted to end their relationship once and for all. The girl was wondering what she would need to do when the main character appeared. The lady really thought that although she and the Duke had become close, he was so busy that he was unlikely to come to her aid, but this turned out not to be the case. Cedric bluntly stated that helping the girl is his duty as an investor, so business cannot be more important. Ariel thought that Cedric was also a person, and he must have needed a change of environment, which was mediated by the desire to help. The man offered to help the lady climb onto the horse, sitting her in front of him, carefully holding her by the hands. The Duke thought, trying to convince himself, repeating that he had a business relationship with Ariel, and their goal with her was only a business partnership. However, he sincerely did not understand why she was so attracted to him, why he wanted to spend more and more time together. Cedric was glad to have the opportunity to show the hunting area under the control of the duchy. He offered to let the girl off the horse and look around, because the Scarens were appearing in the area where they were located. Walking through the thicket of the forest, the man suddenly asked the lady to freeze, because he heard strange sounds that could accompany the attack. The man said that you should be especially careful, because Scaren loves shiny and beautiful things, while the bird, in turn, pierced the girls with its gaze. Suddenly, a huge bird with a wild cry jumped on Cedric, hoping to attack and rob. The man quickly reacted and, taking the blow himself, ordered the lady to hide behind him. Deciding that the creature needed to be caught, he fired a special weapon, wrapping the bird in a net. But suddenly, she began to make plaintive sounds and cry, trying to cover her face with her wings. It seems that the bird had a broken leg, but the girl tried to approach her, but Cedric did not allow it, asking her not to fall for these cunning tricks. But suddenly, a satisfied face appeared on the pug of this crying bird, to which it, having got out, flew up with a loud cry. This bird clung to the servants' heads, literally tearing their hair off in clumps. Cedric looked away from the lady, asking if she was okay, but she turned out to be completely priceless, perhaps shocked by such actions. The hunters concluded that the rumors really do not lie, and this bird has a very vile nature and character. The maid offered to hide, but there is no point in this because the flies will find the guys by smell. The feathers of this terrible beast stank and resembled the smell of urine, which made everyone grimace. But Ariel was very pleased with the smell because if her memory serves her, the origin of this smell is musk. If it is sufficiently dried and mixed with alcohol, it becomes an excellent base note, imparting tenderness and nobility to all components. The girl realized that thanks to this, she would make a great gift for Jaina. The servants, and not only those, sincerely did not understand how good perfume could be made from these stinking feathers, but being convinced that the mistress had a plan, they collected the feathers anyway. The girl herself understood that the request to collect this stench sounded very strange, but the man said that she had reasons why she needed this ingredient. Arriving at her perfume room, the lady finally finished the perfume she needed. She called it the musk scent of Scaren. Ariel, happy that she was finally able to finish, invited the maid to try it on herself. But Rena was extremely scared, and even a little unpleasant that these perfumes were made from those feathers, and their smell was reminiscent of urine. The girl decided that she should trust the mistress, and having opened the bottle, she felt a soft and sweet aroma. At the same time, this smell enveloped him in warmth and pleasant feelings. Being captivated by this wonderful perfume, Rena mistakenly hugged the knight, thinking that it was her mistress. The effect of musk turned out to be much stronger than Ariel expected. She decided that it would be necessary to adjust the dosage to avoid this. The maid was delighted, saying that it would take enormous talent to change the smell of urine so completely. This time, the perfume turned out to be special. She announced it as a perfume that would tame the Skiranov. Jaina said that she really hoped that this was not a waste of time, to which Ariel asked to believe her because she would definitely be pleased. Ariel mixed special ingredients that most closely resembled the smell of the deep forest in which the Scarens live. The perfumer applied the liquid to the woman's brush so that she could taste its essence. Jaina called it the very essence of nature because the acrid smell dissipates, leaving a heavy, wild aroma. Ariel stated that this wild scent would just help the merchants, and she would like the lady to check it out for herself. Having said that the lady was too confident in herself, she offered to hit the road. Even Rena noticed that something strange was happening in the forest, because they literally saw the Scarens from under the bushes, who were looking at them with a predatory gaze. The creatures literally surrounded them, to which the frightened maid asked if it should be like that. Ariel said that the forest hunter is the pungent aroma of the ruler of the forest. Thanks to this smell, the Scarens will mistake the woman for a rival. It was like a ceremony to welcome a new friend, to which Jaina announced that she would try to trust these spirits. But suddenly, judging by the build, the leader of these birds flew up. The lady extended her hand to Scarin, trying to see if he would be submissive. But after sniffing the air, the huge flying animal began to attack and scream, getting into a fighting stance and spreading its wings upward. The girl began to panic, because it seemed that her seemingly brilliant perfume did not work at all, to which the woman stated that she had no other choice and took out a small dagger. But suddenly this creature fell on its back, asking to stroke its belly and caress its feathers. Jaina began to stroke and scratch his belly, to which she received gentle sounds. Everyone really began to think that the girl had made a mistake. But as it turned out, she really is the same brilliant perfumer as they say about her, and this is not just rumors, but personal truth. Ariel was afraid of a side effect due to the strong smell of musk, but fortunately everything worked out, and because the smell of musk also stimulates arousal. Scarin quickly mistook Jaina for his mistress, and not an enemy or even a friend. The woman approaching Ariel stated that she did not know that her headache would become so submissive, and now there was no longer any need to hunt the Scarins. Jaina said that she loves the scent because it is so enchanting, also saying that she really hopes for cooperation. She decided that she should send a return gift for the perfume and sent Ariel many ingredients, even among fresh basic ones, also many new and unique products. In one of the boxes, the girl noticed a magical enhancing elixir. This elixir was written down in Ariel's notebook, and it said that it enhances the effect of perfume. With his help, the lady made several goods at once. But suddenly, once again, having tried her perfume on Rena, the girl realized that something was wrong, but all the bottles were the same, and she had no idea which was which. Ariel realized that this was a huge failure, because people who experienced this scent began to pester each other, feeling very excited. The perfumer did not understand what to do, because horror was happening all around. Suddenly, the Duke appeared at the estate, asking what was happening here. But the moment the maid wanted to try another, all the bottles fell and broke right on Cedric's trousers, enveloping him in an overly sweet aroma. The girl understood that if a side effect affected Cedric, she simply would not survive it. Ariel wanted to ask if her investor was okay, when suddenly Rena began to kiss her mistress's hands, declaring that she would forever serve only her and no one else. And the knight began to completely shout that Mrs. Winston could entrust him with anything, and he would do everything perfectly right now. The Duke reported that Ariel, adding an enhancing elixir, made him surprised. To this, the girl stated that she wanted to try to diversify the perfume. It was very surprising that the perfume had no effect on the man. He said that nothing affects him except the spirits from Onyxia. The Duke said that he had come to inquire about a deal with the trade guild, and in the end he was treated to such a funny sight. But suddenly he declared that real magical perfumes would be valuable for business, because their advantage was obvious. The girl suggested changing the situation and discussing these details. Everyone began to advertise her perfume as magical, which could even heal illnesses and wounds. Buyers asked how much these magical perfumes cost, because it was interesting to know their effect, that they would not even sleep a wink to try it as soon as possible. But suddenly, Ariel smiled and apologized, saying that these perfumes were not for sale at all. Everyone rebelled because their mistresses would literally kill them if they returned without perfume, and Ariel herself could not explain why they were not on sale. Suddenly, 3 girls came into the perfumery, asking if she was Lady Winston. The perfumer asked the children to leave, because magic perfumes are not for sale. But they suddenly shouted, declaring that they had not come to buy them at all, but to place an order. They began to explain that one of them had very serious insomnia, and that no matter what they tried, nothing helped. When asked how this happened, the girls replied that the guys from the academy very often pester Sasha, and it all grew into trauma, which is why she cannot sleep. The poor child suddenly lost consciousness from lack of sleep, but the girls managed to successfully catch her, saying that they would definitely help her. The girls, literally with tears in their eyes, begged the great perfumer to help. After thinking for a couple of seconds, Ariel decided that it would be difficult to refuse them and agreed on one condition. The girls smiled slyly and stated that for the sake of Sasha, they must sacrifice themselves. The children began to say that no sacrifice would scare them because the girl with insomnia was their only friend. In fact, the girls just had to try this perfume out together since it's a new product. This perfume brings back warm memories. The lady modified the recipe found in Ariel's scent diary and used sweet and warm scents like cocoa and tonka. Ariel adding freshness and depth to the aroma with yuzu and grapefruit oils. Warm memories have the effect that Sasha needs most now. Ariel sprayed perfume on her wrist that was reminiscent of the mousse cake the girls ate yesterday. Sasha realized that she had memories of how they ate desserts together. The girl stated that this perfume gives a feeling of security due to the warm, sweet, and cozy smell. After these words, the children immediately began to fall asleep because their souls became warmer and more comfortable. These perfumes are able to awaken the memory. Thanks to this, the soul becomes calmer. In fact, the original perfume puts people into eternal sleep, but Ariel slightly changed the recipe. But suddenly, the perfumer was afraid that that same eternal dream would become a side effect. Waking up, Sasha reported that for the first time in a long time, she slept very peacefully. The girl asked how much this perfume cost, because thanks to its effect, she would like to buy it. But the girl just smiled softly and said that let it be a gift, because the little lady could take them if she liked them. But suddenly, Sasha decided that she would become Ariel's henchwoman, informing her about it. As a result, all the girls following Sasha wanted to take part in this. But suddenly the girl remembered that these girls did a lot of evil, being minions of the original version of Ariel. But the children asked not to reject their mistress, because they would do whatever she ordered. Rena and the knight were going to buy the necessary ingredients for perfume when suddenly the maid saw a rat. Having beaten the unfortunate animal, she hurried to get to the desired destination. The hooded man, after first following them, headed towards the pale-faced one. Mr. Kian was sitting on the veranda and drinking tea, reading something. The man said that the rumors that Ariel makes magical perfumes turned out to be true. He also said that Winston's influence is growing rapidly. Then the gentleman said that although he did not want to do this, he would have to take away her magic perfume from the lady. He assigned the guy another task, or rather, to break into the store and steal the recipe diary. Ariel talked about how Mrs. Jaina could help with a deal in the west of the country, but so far this is only in the plans, but she will try very hard. Also, the girl said that they were preparing a party in honor of their opening. Cedric was extremely surprised that the lady invited him to take part in this. Upon learning that Ariel would be there, the Duke agreed, saying that he had not properly congratulated her on the opening. Cedric stated that he would wait for the lady to contact him. The lady thanked Rena for organizing the table because it turned out to be very beautiful. Suddenly, a blonde approached the girl, congratulating Ariel on her discovery. All those who came to her evening began to give the girl flowers, congratulating her on the opening of her perfumery. To this, Ariel stated that she was very grateful that they still came. Even the investor himself came with a bouquet of pink flowers, saying that the store was beautiful after all. After handing the flowers to Ariel, Cedric hurried to remove the petal from her pink hair. The girl even gave some girls a small perfume, saying that it would help them find true love. They reported that they would use them on the most important days for them. A guy sat up to the Duke, saying that it was a great honor for him to see him, to which Cedric was as disrespectful as possible, without even looking in his direction. Noticing where the man was looking, he hastened to ask what was connected with this lady. To this, he quietly replied that he was her investor. Then Raphael introduced himself, saying that he owned a flower shop. Then he sighed languidly and wished him prosperity. But suddenly, Ariel herself approached the guys, asking what they were so busy with. She said that Luna and the children had prepared a simple game and invited them to participate. To this, Cedric said that he thought it was time for him to go. The Duke was already very late, so he said that he had a good time and left the holiday. The blonde suddenly shared that she was very surprised that His Highness was always busy and still came to the event. To this, the girl said that he was an investor and he should have come, but the lady continued that the investor would not look at her with that look. She was surprised that Ariel really didn't notice anything. The girl said that his gaze was intense, that she was even worried that he would burn a hole in her dress. One of the children also said that she believed that Cedric liked the girl because Luna's premonition was not wrong. To this, Ariel tried to explain that the Duke did not feel anything for her, just as she did not feel anything for him. The girl understood perfectly well that Cedric had a real main character. It was simply impossible for him to love her. The man watched the celebration from a corner, quietly saying that he had finally found Ariel Winston. Cedric, oddly enough, had only to blow on the lady, and he became a little happier. The advisor immediately warned the Duke that the fifth prince had sent a spy to Lady Winston's store. He immediately turned around, but the guy tried to stop the man because he had been unwell lately. He offered to send another knight, to which the man stated that one would be enough. The spy concluded, having made his way into the perfumery, that he just needed to steal the recipes and get around some. He began to look for the diary in the drawers when suddenly Cedric appeared menacingly above him. With light movements of his hands, he knocked him to his knees, hitting his head on the floor. Having made sure that the lady was safe, he ordered the spy to pack up and go home. He was amazed because the Duke had really overestimated his strength. But in an instant, an ally of that guy appeared in front of him, with a sword in his hands. Taking out his dagger, the investor rushed into battle. But the opponent successfully covered his blow with his weapon, pushing the thick blade away from himself. The knight managed to shrug it off and cut Cedric's clothes, to which he asked who sent him to them. But he, having only said that he would turn the Duke into a monster again, threw the bottle, spraying an unusual smell. The man covered his nose, realizing that it was a demonic scent. Having insulted the man with a monster, he moved a little further. The scent of Onyxia was a temporary remedy that turned Cedric into an ordinary person. The stranger, saying that the guy would soon find out everything, said goodbye. The man fell to the ground, losing consciousness, when he realized that he was unable to control himself. Ariel woke up in her warm, cozy crib. She touched the rose petals that were given to her yesterday, realizing that they were still fresh. But suddenly, hearing strange sounds, the girl found Rena loud. She said that it was dangerous here and Ariel should not approach the Duke, who was lying on the floor. But the lady approached him and began to ask if everything was okay. She asked what he was doing here, to which he only fell asleep on her shoulder. The man said that the lady's scent really gives peace of mind. A couple of hours later, the Duke apologized for the inconvenience. The girl suddenly asked who Cedric had fought with because he looked disheveled. To this, in order to avoid answering, he said that it was time for him to go. The next customer was a pale-haired girl in a pink outfit. She asked if Duke Evans had just left this store. Suddenly, a customer asked to create a perfume that could make someone fall in love with her. In the original, Ariel tried to create such a perfume, but none of her attempts were successful. The lady asked if there was a reason why the girl was confident that she could create such a perfume. To this, the stranger replied that she heard Lady Luna and Lady Eileen whispering. Ariel hastened to explain that these words were just empty words for children. To this, she stated that she knew that Ariel and Cedric had become closer than in the past. The blonde handed the girl a box, asking her to look. There was a very rare plant from Mount Daphne. According to legend, the goddess Euphanel fell in love with a shepherd at first sight. And when he reciprocated her feelings, they planted this plant and used it for smoking candles. Ariel was not familiar with the legend, but she knew very well the effect of perfume. It has such a charming smell that there is even a legend that it captivates people. The lady tried so hard to get it, but failed. Then the customer asked who Ariel liked so much that she was ready to do such a thing. She stated that Ariel would be surprised to see the one she wants to fall in love with. This man was the Baron's son, Keenan Arzan. The girl immediately concluded that he was still handsome. Ariel reported that she understood Lady Cleo. Then, the blonde said that they have been friends for 10 years, but she wants to confess to him because she heard that the effect lasts a maximum of a week, but she doesn't care if she can get his heart. She suddenly wondered if there was any meaning in love received through the power of magic. Ariel agreed to the girl's conditions, but also, the perfumer warned that it was her first time seeing this plant, so there was a high probability of failure. Magnus screamed at her ally because all her plans had once again failed. They even bribed the owners of flower shops, but Ariel made a deal with the head of a large trading guild. To this, the man just snorted, saying that they wouldn't have to go to all these extremes if the lady knew how to create perfume. But suddenly smiling, the blonde said that Fonte had nothing to worry about because he had an excellent plan. He explained that the feast of St. Catherine was approaching. Kian confidently stated that on it, he would definitely be able to get Ariel. Ariel got to work creating that very love perfume. She succeeded quite successfully because a feeling appeared that could awaken and excite the heart. Rena invited the lady to try some of the cake as she inhaled the aroma. But suddenly, putting the perfume on the table, she smelled a pleasant smell. The girl asked how she liked this scent, to which she asked where it came from. She said that this is a real masterpiece and Ariel will instantly be able to get rich. To this, Ariel said that these ingredients are too rare and impossible to buy. As a result, it will not be possible to create many similar perfumes. But in a moment, the maid began to say that today the lady was unusually beautiful. The long-awaited evening ball has begun. It was organized in honor of the patroness of all lovers, St. Catherine. But Ariel suddenly began to feel that she shouldn't have come here. She felt awkward, especially when Charlotte noticed her and called her over. Ariel thanked the lady for the invitation, to which she stated that she was always glad to see her visit. Today, Charlotte also noticed that Ariel is too beautiful. She really looked rested and lovely, as if she had slept well and gained a lot of strength, despite the fact that she worked a lot. The blonde asked if the lady had a new perfume, to which she replied that apparently the scent had been absorbed into the skin while she was mixing the ingredients. The aristocrat noticed that it was a very wonderful and warm smell. Ariel seemed to bewitch people behind her who continued to say nice things. One girl even asked if this perfume was for sale, to which Ariel replied that it was not for sale. And another one even noticed that the effect of this smell is that the heart begins to beat faster. But suddenly, in order to avoid shame, the girl decided to leave the ball. She concluded that today's reaction to her is different from the previous one. Suddenly, the same customer met her, asking about the scent she wanted. At this, Ariel pulled out a bottle of perfume from the box. This amorous armature came in a heart-shaped package with a black bow at the end. After appraising them, the lady said that they were very cute. This aroma is like fresh flowers and also sweet like honey. She immediately realized that the aroma really enchants and envelops her with love. However, there is a condition for the effect to manifest itself. The partner must have been interested for a long time. To this, Cleo stated that there was such a possibility. The lady wished her good luck and left, to which she shouted that she would never forget this help. Plucking up courage, Cleo decided to approach, spraying the elixir on herself. But suddenly her partner found her himself approaching from behind. He said that he was looking everywhere for the girl. At the ball, the couple danced together, and it seems that the plan worked successfully. Ariel, standing on the sidelines, was happy, as if for herself. Despite being very tired, the girl had a good experience. But suddenly, someone's rude voice was heard. The lady was approached by Cedric, who had been looking for her all evening. He stated that Ariel's scent had changed greatly. The man said that this scent was not familiar to him, and if Charlotte had not said so, he would have decided that Ariel had already left. At this, the lady was surprised that he was checking by the aroma whether she was there or not. She immediately presented him in the form of a dog, realizing that he had a dog's nose. Cedric asked if the lady had any changes in her state of mind. After all, they say that if a person changes his perfume, then his condition is changed. To this, the lady said that she simply developed a new fragrance on behalf of her. The Duke said that he was here at Charlotte's request, or rather, this was a deal. His presence had an additional effect. Of course, the participation of the Duke will take the evening ball to a new level. Cedric extended his hand, inviting the lady to dance. To this, Ariel said that she hardly slept. She said that it was not that important. After all, what was important was whether the man's symptoms became more frequent. Lately, he started drinking more, and given his strange condition, Cedric's madness intensifies in keeping with the original. From these thoughts, the girl felt sorry for him. The man suddenly asked why Ariel was looking at him like that. Ariel said that she thought she needed to treat His Highness better. Since Cedric is the main character, Ariel will try to make an effort. For others, perfume is a matter of personal preference, but for the Duke, it is a necessity of life. Cedric smiled and said that if he thought Ariel was interested in him. He again tried to invite the lady to dance, taking her hand. Ariel only agreed to one dance. The perfumer noticed that today the men are in an unusually good mood. The Duke said that this was a special day for him. Cedric smiled when Ariel noticed his strange look. She thought that perhaps this behavior was due to the perfume, but it was not difficult to instantly refute this fact because it could not affect the man. Ariel didn't know how to dance at all because she trampled all the Duke's feet. The man said that there was no need to worry about this. He said to just concentrate on it. They began to dance again, piercing each other with a loving gaze. But suddenly, Ariel pushed the man away from her, saying that it had become too hot. She didn't understand why her heart was beating so hard. An advisor approached the Duke, saying that the Baron was waiting for him. Cedric turned to the girl and declared that it was time for him to go. Any more, and the atmosphere would have been strange, so Ariel left too. She tried to understand why the Duke suddenly began to behave this way. But suddenly the prince himself appeared at the ball, and everyone began to talk about it. But for some reason, His Highness's gaze remained fixed on the perfumer. Ariel bowed in greeting and said that she did not expect to see him here. Why did he say that he was amazed at her talent? Because for the sake of business, she tied her ex to her. To this, she only laughed, saying that it seemed to her that His Highness was afraid of her. She stated that it wasn't enough for them to copy her perfume. They also bribed the flower shop sellers. Everyone in the hall, hearing this, began to whisper and discuss. Then the prince demanded proof that he did it, because Ariel was clearly delusional. The girl became insolent, saying that if he wants to compete, then let him do it correctly. The perfumer looked away, asking to leave because apparently the prince had nothing more to say. But suddenly, he and Magnus offered to fairly measure their strength with the main perfumer of the store. Ariel didn't want to put so much effort on them, but they began to provoke her. The couple made a condition that if they lose, they will close the perfume store. But if he wins, Ariel will have to become his perfumer. Ariel asked what type of competition they would choose, to which Fanta replied that, of course, perfume making. But with one condition, the ladies must create a perfume that suits her investor. Ariel tried to analyze this order, realizing that her investor was not around and it would be difficult. But suddenly, literally from the crowd, he appeared, looking at the girl quite confident in her victory. All the people crowded around the participants, and some did not even understand what was happening. Everyone understood that Winston had a small but well-known store. They have prepared an equal number of ingredients. The side with the most votes will win. Ariel wondered what scent would be perfect for Cedric. Because of the original, he seemed like a terrible tyrant to her, but she sincerely considers him a kind person. And sometimes she does not understand at all what he is thinking about. The girl made a clear choice that she needed to win the competition. One girl began to worry that Ariel's rivals had come here fully prepared, and Lady Ariel was at a disadvantage. But the Duke replied that, however, he was confident in Lady Winston's abilities. But suddenly, Ariel noticed a sticker on Fanta's perfume, realizing that they had prepared it in advance. She looked at her perfume, wondering if they could have mixed something strange into it. After all, given all their infantile actions, she cannot give them permission. The girl concluded that now is a great chance to teach them a lesson. Ariel raised her hand to indicate that she was finished. When she was released to check the perfume first, she approached her investor. She gave the perfume into his hands, asking him to spray it. This perfume is called Duke in a Moonlit Night. Ariel used black orchid to create a heavy, haunting scent. Over time, a subtle, warm, and sweet aroma of base notes will remain on the skin. This scent will give you a different charm. Everyone inhaled her perfume, realizing that the scent was dark, but at the same time warm, noble, and charming, just like the Duke. Ariel also said that this scent can be used by anyone, regardless of gender. Fanta suddenly said that hot days would come very soon, and wouldn't it be too stuffy to use such a perfume? And especially for the approach of summer, she prepared an invigorating grapefruit scent. It is called Prince of the Imperial Palace because everyone can feel the natural freshness of lemon as well as the sweetness of grapefruit. Everyone concluded that the smell was very fresh and natural, so refreshing that you began to feel invigorated. One even said that it is perfect for summer because it is a citrus. At this, Fanta smiled and shouted that Ariel had recently said that it was cheap and banal. She also started advertising her store, saying that they could purchase these perfumes at a low price. Duke of the Moonlit Night is more elegant and exciting, but the grapefruit scent is more suitable for everyday use. People started comparing their scents, trying to choose the best one. In this case, the man suggested splitting into two sides to understand how many votes there were for the desired perfumes. He approached the people and asked them to do this, that is, to switch sides to Ariel or to Fonte. But suddenly, the blonde began to sneeze, interrupting his monologue. He said that he forgot to say that he was allergic to grapefruit. Fanta began to scream, because her investor told her about this only now, to which the man realized that he was going to vomit. Investor Fanta headed to the toilet, feeling sick due to allergies. People began to discuss that the lady didn't even know about the guy's allergy. Some even changed their minds about the girl's perfume, and Fanta promised herself that she would never trust her investor again. The girl turned to the lady and shouted that she would take revenge on her, and they would see who was the best perfumer here. At that time, Ariel didn't even think that she would win this competition so stupidly. But the lady was distracted from these thoughts by potential clients who asked when the perfume would go on sale. Ariel stated that the earliest they can purchase the perfume is next week, and she will also specially give a sample to everyone present today. Cedric, going up to the perfumer, thanked her for creating the perfume, especially for him. But suddenly, the Duke began to think about how Lady Winston sees him as a person. The investor congratulated the lady on her victory and smiled sweetly, trying to support Ariel. A week later, the girl continued to sell her products, learning and developing. Rena said that after the girl attended the ball, they had a noticeable increase in the number of men among their customers. To which Ariel said that in the future it would be better to create more neutral scents. And also, the model of the perfume is also important. The guys saw that their rivals had indeed kept their promise and closed their store. The maid gave her a newspaper where it was written that the perfume sorceress had an impromptu perfume competition at the evening ball in honor of St. Catherine's Day, where she created the scent of Duke Cedric and also her ex. It was also said that through this competition, the truth about the fifth prince's allergy to grapefruit was revealed. Ariel reported that they irritated her with their presence. But for some reason, along with relief, she also felt sadness. But suddenly, from reading the newspaper, Ariel distracted the people and began to recognize her because she makes magic perfume. They started shouting that Mrs. Winston must visit their store at today's festival. The girls were bombarded with papers and newspapers with invitations, to which she did not even understand what had just happened. Today, the streets are crowded with people because it is that same day. Rena said that today is the early summer festival. Ariel thought about it, trying to remember how this holiday was celebrated in the original story. In the original, in honor of the beginning of summer, a large-scale festival was held on the streets. At the same time, this became the day when the main character first carried out tyranny. But Ariel reassured herself that there were still 3 years before this event. Rena asked if Ariel was interested, but the perfumer realized that Rena was just at the age when festivals were of interest, to which she asked the maid to go. Ariel announced that there weren't likely to be many visitors today, so she'd handle it herself. But the maid began to persuade Ariel to go with them because there is a famous taro cafe there, and you can go there. Rena literally began to cry, realizing that she would have to spend time without the lady. The festival was very beautiful. There were many children and parents there, trying to make them happy. The maid also decided to behave like a child and asked to buy her one ball. They went to the very cafe where Rena's famous fortune teller sat. But suddenly they were abruptly informed that they were already closed. To this, Ariel tried to say that she might pay extra. In an instant, the fortune teller saw Lady Winston standing in front of her, saying that she couldn't even imagine how much she liked the perfume she bought then, and as a special exception, she would serve them for free. Rena went first, asking to find out luck and love, for which the girl made a plan. She said that her love is much closer than she thinks. She showed a card of lovers, as well as a card of a traveler going on an adventure. Ariel quickly concluded that the maid was behaving as expected at her age. The girl turned to the lady, offering to tell her fortune. The girl began to convince the lady that her predictions were very accurate, because even everything that happened in childhood coincided. The perfumer was finished off by the fact that the fortune teller said that she would not take the money, and this was her sincere desire. But suddenly, a death card fell out, to which the fortune teller asked to draw another one. All 3 cards meant hell and painful death. Ariel smiled nervously, realizing that all the cards meant death. Although they have not met yet, her fate is already destined for death. The girl said that it was not very encouraging, but it could not be said that he was already dead. Even if her love is alive, he is barely holding on to life. The lady asked to predict Ariel's luck for today. Today, in a place crowded with people, she should go where there is more red color, and there she can meet a noble person. Also, this may be her predicted fate. This person has a powerful presence and they accidentally bump into each other. The knight also wanted to reassure the lady, saying that medicine does not stand still, and her future lover will quickly get back on his feet. And Rena even said that Winston already has a lot to worry about, and there is no need to meet such a person and complicate her life. At the festival, the guys met Raphael. He approached Lady Ariel and said hello, but suddenly she noticed that he was dressed in red in a crowded place. She asked if he was sick with something. The girl concluded that he was too young and healthy for her lover. The guy suddenly said that she was gorgeous at the last ball, and he really liked that perfume. The girl said that Raphael was exaggerating, to which the boy asked if the lady planned to stay, could he take care of her safety? To this, Ariel said that she already had a guard, but the girl offered to accompany her, not as security. Raphael said that he would give them an excellent tour because he knows every corner of this street. The guys wanted to play, or rather, hit the balls with a dart to win a gift. Ariel played this game perfectly because she was very accurate. It was the knight's turn, to which Ariel said that he would not be able to beat her record. He took the darts under each finger and took a fighting stance. He won instantly, breaking absolutely every ball. The knight said that he just practiced a lot and was not taught this at all. Ariel began to praise Ern, to which Raphael became angry and jealous. Raphael tried to draw attention to himself, saying that around the corner they were selling delicious chicken skewers with cheese, and also invited her to take a look. Rena also loved chicken skewers, so Ariel considered it good luck. But suddenly, the girl did not see Rena next to her. The girl was in the forest and trying to get her ball, which was entangled in a tree. But suddenly someone gave her a thread to which she was horrified. In front of her stood a man in a hood, with red bags under his eyes and a dead look. Meanwhile, the guys decided to split up and search because she couldn't go far. Ariel thanked everyone and asked to meet at this place in an hour. The girl began screaming for Rin and looking for her throughout the festival. But suddenly her gaze fell on the blonde man who was eating noodles. She wanted to ask why he was dressed so ridiculously, to which he covered her mouth with his hand. He took her to a corner, holding her carefully. But Ariel was also no slouch, so she bit the prince's hand. He shouted that His Highness should be in the castle. And then he explained that because of her, his mother forbade him to leave the palace and he was here secretly. In any case, he asked to pretend that she had not seen him there. The girl said that this was a waste of time and she was forced to leave, but he did not let her go. The girl turned to him and asked what else he needed. But the prince asked if she came to the holiday alone. The man said that he was not used to the village of commoners and he needed a guide, to which Ariel said that he had a lot of money and could hire anyone. The prince grabbed the lady's hand, saying that that was not the point. The man said that he had no one to have fun with. Fanta said that she did not need such an investor and broke the contract. In the newspapers, everyone makes fun of him, and he is completely alone. Ariel said she was looking for someone, and if he could help, they could have fun together. The girl described Rina completely, to which he asked if we were talking about the servants. The prince announced that it was worth mentioning his outstanding memory, and he saw how not so long ago she walked towards the forest. The lady found a bracelet on the ground that belonged to Rina. She began to think that something serious could happen, to which the man stated that there was a magic tower in the vicinity and no one could recklessly cause trouble. But suddenly, Ariel felt a familiar aroma. It was the perfume that Rina usually wears. The girl began to run to the side, trying to find her maid, but suddenly tripped. The prince caught her, grabbing the girl right by the waist. Ariel looked at him confused. The man dropped the girl abruptly, saying that she was too heavy. Ariel was very angry with him. She said that the prince had already left, and she thought that she could cope with the search alone. Still, he followed her, saying that he wanted to help. The perfumer trusted her sense of smell, trying to find Rina, and so the girl stood alone in the forest, seeing the lady. She ran up to the lady with tears in her eyes. She asked if she was injured anywhere. The girl said that she was completely fine because the Duke saved her. Cedric appeared from under the bushes, extending his hand to Milady. He said that the child was safe and sound and Ariel need not worry. Noticing traces of blood, the man asked if anyone had been injured. The girl thanked the Duke because she was very worried that something had happened to Rina. To this, the man only smiled, saying that he did not deserve any gratitude. The blonde tried to beg for praise for himself when suddenly Cedric asked what he was doing here. He replied that Lady Ariel had begged tearfully and he was only helping her. The man smiled, declaring that they were now friends. But Cedric, embittered with the blonde, said that he could not just let his crimes get away with him and began to roll up his sleeves. To this, he only said that the Duke could attack because he was challenging him. Ariel stopped their fight, saying that Rina was very scared and they could fight later. The Duke apologized for his behavior and said that he would ask Ern to escort them home. The perfumer asked the girl to return to the store and have a good rest, because today was a day off anyway. And Ariel, the Duke invited her to a personal conversation. They came to dinner and the perfumer asked what was so serious that Cedric wanted to talk about. The man asked if the girl goes on business trips. The man said that he would like her to accompany him to one place. He explained himself a little more clearly, offering to join him for company. They must travel to the divine city located on the border of the Bel Air Empire. But to get there, it will take half a month without stopping, and you will have to ride horses. Ariel asked her to excuse her, asking if there was a reason that she should accompany the man on such a long journey, because she could make a supply of Onyxia's perfume for his journey. The man said that the scent alone was no longer enough, to which the lady was surprised whether their effect had weakened. Cedric said that the effect of the scent is enhanced only when the girl is next to him. To this, she said that this fragrance does not have conditions in the form of the obligatory presence of someone. But the Duke spoke from experience, because the difference in the effect between when a girl is nearby and when she is not is simply amazing. The girl said that she would not be able to fulfill this request because she could not leave the store for a long time. Also, the lady stated that Cedric was delusional. Since she supplied the fragrance, he mistakenly thought that she was the key to solving the problem, and this is something of a distorted association. In this case, the man ordered to forget about the previous request and come to the ball next month as his companion. Ariel began to wonder what the reason for such a request was. The Duke explained that with his narrow social circle, it would not be so easy to find a companion. The girl thought this was nonsense because someone like Cedric would be very popular, and if he announced in the square that he was looking for a partner, a whole crowd of people would rush in. The perfumer thought that if she appeared at the ball as his companion, then scandals would no longer be avoidable. But on the other hand, this will have a very good effect on the perfume industry because the last new product was a resounding success. After thinking briefly, Ariel accepted the Duke's invitation. The lady returned to the store and was greeted by Rena and Ern, saying that they were only waiting for her. She asked if anything serious had happened. Ariel said that next time she would look after her better, to which the maid only apologized. The girl remembered that she had seen terrible things. Blood, Cedric, who was killing a crowd of knights in front of her. At that moment, the man understood that even Rena now did not have the scent of Onyxia, which could help him quench his thirst for blood. He was wounded, but forbade the girl to approach him, because now he is very dangerous. Cedric asked Rena to keep this a secret from Lady Winston. Otherwise, she may be in danger. Rena said she was fine and apologized for the inconvenience. The perfumer asked the girl to rest for a few days. Cedric informed Guy that the Information Guild, which disappeared 16 years ago, has returned again. They seem to be related to the Duke's madness. The man ordered Cedric to continue investigating. Guy said that he is the best informant, so Cedric can trust him with everything. The man understood that if he was lucky, he would be able to get rid of this madness once and for all. Ariel concluded that since it is summer, it would be nice to prepare a new product that represents this time of year. It was very important that the product allowed us to feel the season. Rena immediately suggested an association with the sea. If you think about it, Ariel did not see a single sea-type scent in the original diary, and apparently it is difficult to obtain in this world. Suddenly, a guy entered the room saying that Countess Gilbert had sent him. He gave her a gift containing a rare herb. Jaina decided to give it to the store, taking this value from the head of the guild with whom they made a deal, and also asked Ariel to use it wisely. Everyone who was there felt such an aroma for the first time. The smell was fresh and invigorating, like the morning breeze, as if the salty sea breeze had touched the tip of the nose. We can say that this fragrance embodies the romance of youth. But suddenly, His Highness also came to the store, saying that she promised to spend time with him and she must keep her promise. He even planned a special itinerary for the date to make her feel burdened. The girl wanted to refuse him because she has a lot of work, to which the man bowed down, calling her a liar. The lady suggested a compromise, or rather, to have fun creating perfume. He said it didn't look like fun. Ern served the same herb to the prince, saying that it needed to be ground immediately. The fact is that little is known about Trey's herb. It has never been used as a component for perfume, so Ariel wanted to try different extraction methods. According to research, members of the royal family of a western state use this herb to save the heat. But its refreshing marine aroma may have other properties, and it also had an unusual blue color. The girl decided to try using the desired herb as the main note. When he tried to spray the perfume, he felt a fresh and invigorating smell of fruit, the smell of salty sea breeze and fresh grass, and also a barely noticeable clean and invigorating smell of the sea, leaving behind a soft trail. The lady realized that the mysterious secret of the aroma of Trey grass is that it can invigorate. The perfume will sell very well if it is launched in the summer, and no one except Ariel will be able to make it. Now, all that remains is to think about the bottle and the name of the perfume. At this time, Fanta was bursting with anger. The girl swore that she would get out of this hole and become more popular and more successful than anyone. But suddenly, she was enveloped in blue-violet smoke. Fanta fell sharply, losing consciousness. A girl entered the room, smiling slyly. Ariel gave out delicious treats for the girls. She announced that she had developed a new scent, inviting them to try it out. Suddenly, a blonde appeared, saying that she had accidentally overheard their conversation. The girl asked to tell her when it goes on sale, because she wants to buy it first. But the lady said that she could not decide on the date yet, but she would definitely help her try the product on her next visit. The blonde said that she always enjoys using her perfume, and everyone in the salon also uses only it. The children noticed that Mrs. Ariel was becoming more and more popular. Lately, they talk about her more often, and there are many more guests like that lady. And the store is slowly becoming busier. At this rate, I'll have to move to a bigger store. The girl thought that the neighboring store was empty for renovation work to expand. A man approached Ariel and handed her an envelope, saying that Evans asked him to give her this decree. The envelope contained an invitation to the imperial ball. Ariel immediately remembered that Cedric asked to become his date at the imperial ball, which would take place next month. The children began to admire, saying that this was the largest celebration of the year, and only a narrow circle of aristocrats who received an invitation could participate in it. Surprisingly, this was not even mentioned in the original, and it seems to be a much more important event than she expected. The girls asked to go and tell us how fun it was there, because it would be very interesting for them. Out of nowhere, a lot of men appeared who would be honored if Ariel went to the ball with them. The girl sighed and, asking for forgiveness, stated that she already had a partner. Ariel announced with such admiration that her companion was Duke Evans. They still said that if Cedric decided not to come, then the lady could always contact them. The perfumer concluded that there has been a noticeable increase in business, but as they say, dreams must be big. The day of the imperial ball arrived, and Ariel began to cook with 6 hands. All the servants praised Ariel, saying that she was becoming more beautiful every day, but she was sure that Count Winston had threatened them to treat her well. The father was shocked and at the same time furious that his daughter was invited to the imperial ball. He stated that in order to attract the imperial family, it must be perfect from head to toe. The maids began to choose a dress for her, but most of the outfits were outdated. The girl began to choose jewelry, choosing a necklace with a stone that resembled Cedric's eyes. In an instant, the lady was knocked on the door, saying that Duke Evans was already waiting for her. The Duke invited the lady to ride together in a carriage. Ariel suddenly realized that she could easily fall in love with the investor, given the fact that his appearance matched the main character. The pale-faced woman began to ask how Evans was feeling, because whatever one may say, she could be called Cedric's doctor. Ariel can safely be called his doctor, because she pacified his madness, as no doctor or priest of the Empire could. He asked who she was, if not a doctor, to which he received the answer that the girl was a perfumer. The man took the lady by the hand and led her into the ballroom. Everyone immediately began to discuss the couple, saying that they did not believe that they had a purely business relationship. Cedric suddenly asked if the lady had changed her perfume. The fact is that this aroma was incredibly captivating. It retained the sparkle of iridescent waves and the calm of the sea. The Duke was surprised that Ariel was able to express these feelings so beautifully with the help of scent. The man began to tell the lady about a magical island where the sandy shore turns pink. The Duke, suggesting that the girl might like it, suggested going there in the summer. Finally, an older woman appeared at the ball with a fan in her hands. This woman was the Empress of their country. Suddenly, the girl thought that the Empress has the greatest power in the country, and this is the best chance to advertise her perfume. The woman thanked Evans for accepting her invitation because she was glad to see him after a long time. The Empress looked at Ariel, asking if she was his companion. The Duke introduced her, to which the woman stated that this was the first time Cedric had brought a companion, and it was clearly stated that without a partner, entry was prohibited. The woman suddenly noticed that Lady Winston emanated a very pleasant aroma. She concluded that it was similar to the aroma of grass received as a gift from a neighboring kingdom. Ariel confirmed the woman's words, saying that the new perfume was created based on Trey's herb. This fragrance is not yet on sale, but the girl had a bottle. The Empress tried it, saying that it was amazing, but the suffocating air was suddenly filled with a feeling of vigor. Compared to Trey's grass, it was deeper and more elegant. The perfume will definitely gain popularity, since the Empress herself praised it. But suddenly, Her Majesty was distracted by the news that Minister Rowell was seeking an urgent meeting. She asked Evans to accompany Her Highness for a short while. The aristocrats immediately attacked the perfumer, asking him to use that same scent. Ariel immediately concluded that her business was a good success today. The girl just wanted to lie down and rest when the 5th prince appeared nearby. Kian stated that his mother really liked the scent. Ariel smiled, saying that the man did not help her much, but still helped her, to which he said that even her smile was beautiful. And it was at that moment that the Duke appeared in front of them. He menacingly declared that if the prince had not found a partner, then there was no need to covet his companion. To this, the blonde stated that they were just chatting a little. The prince hastened to remind Cedric that he and Winston were just business partners. Disgraced, the man took Ariel by the hand and led her away. She asked the Duke to let go of her hand because he was squeezing it too tightly. Evans asked why the lady continued to communicate with this scoundrel. Ariel said that contacting him could help business if he was from the imperial family. The Duke began to ask whether she was interested in this boy only in terms of business, or if she liked him. Cedric frowned and declared that he was superior to him in blood ties. She understood that they were enemies, but she didn't think that they were that much. The Duke declared that when trouble happens, it is best to get some fresh air. The man brought the girl to the greenhouse of the Imperial Palace. Ariel suddenly realized that Cedric was the blonde's uncle. Suddenly, the lady saw a rare herb, the aroma of which was reminiscent of mint and mustard at the same time. She sighed because she didn't take the diary she needed with her. Cedric concluded that Ariel really liked it here. The Duke invited the lady to stay here a little longer because he would like to spend time together. To which she agreed, saying that the view here was too beautiful. The lady said that she would like to come here again, to which Evan said that any time she wished. The Duke has an urgent matter and he will not be able to accompany Ariel, so he is forced to leave. Meanwhile, the prince concluded that Ariel is a weak point for the Duke since he was so angry at the ball. In a moment, he wondered why his mood had suddenly deteriorated. At the ball, the first and third prince were introduced. The first prince was Louis, a handsome blonde man, and the second one, Pierre, looked absolutely the same. Their appearance shone even brighter than before. The brothers immediately pestered the blonde, saying that he should say hello. The man did not understand why he was here if he was supposed to be abroad studying. Another brother reported that the youngest of them is very vulnerable. But suddenly they showed very unpleasant news, or rather a newspaper where the prince was disgraced. The man asked his brothers to leave as soon as possible. Suddenly, the mother of a wonderful family appeared, and everyone started asking how she was. The Empress asked how their trip went. The gentleman stated that during this time, he crossed the eastern continent and mastered various martial arts. But Mother said that Kian did not do anything stupid, and that was good. The younger one was asked not to go to the family dinner if he didn't want to embarrass himself again. Ariel walked towards His Highness, asking why he was alone. But suddenly the lady saw that the man was crying. The lady said that it was very cruel because she was sure that there were many more cakes there. Kian said he doesn't understand why people don't like him and look down on him when he tries, but it doesn't work out. Ariel reported that the prince himself voiced the cause of his problem. The girl said that it's all because he does everything in order to be good in other people's eyes. The perfumer said that if he wants everything to work out, then he needs to act for his own sake and do what he likes. The prince suddenly realized that even after what he did, she still did not hate him. Then Kian declared that he liked Lady Winston, but the friends did not even suspect that they were being photographed from an angle. Soon these photos began to be published in newspapers and Cedric saw it. Early in the morning, Rena handed the lady a newspaper, which contained those same photos. A month later, next to Ariel's store, a new elephant, Magnus, was already standing. The man invited people, saying that in honor of the first day of opening, all goods were at a quarter price. Everyone understood that it was several times cheaper than Ariel's perfume, and Magnus seemed determined. Winston still had no buyers, so Ariel suggested that Rena take a break. To this, she said that they were not there just now, and in a couple of minutes they would already come running. Even if people came to them, they heard about a quarter of the price and immediately went in the other direction, or rather, to another salon. What was strange was that Kian stopped sponsoring, and she definitely closed the store, and it was impossible to open it. Most likely, Fanta has a new, more successful investor. Ariel asked Ern to fulfill one of her requests. The lady compared the scents again and realized that Fanta's perfume was completely copied from her. The girl concluded that if they continue to sell similar perfumes at such an unimaginable price, they may go bankrupt. Suddenly, Magnus herself came to the store, saying that they had a small room. Ariel stated that Fanta could not profit from plagiarism forever. She also added that she doesn't know what kind of investor the girl got this time, but she will be embarrassed again. To this, the lady said that this time she would definitely erase Ariel from the street. Taking a look at the papers, Red declared that they no longer had to worry about money management. The man asked what they should do with Evans, since he seemed to have already begun an investigation. The chief said that instead of acting rashly, we need to hit the weak points. The main character agreed, saying that she was only waiting for his order. Ariel headed to the trade guild. The girl thought that perhaps Mistress Jaina could help her. The woman smiled and asked about Lady Winston's fate here. She stated that she had found an excellent use for Trey's herb, bringing a gift as a perfume. Jaina had heard a lot about them, but didn't think she'd experienced them herself. One way or another, the woman just needed this perfume because of its effect. She said that all she had to do was ask, and she would get Trey's herbs at any moment. The head of the guild guessed that if Ariel arrived before lunch, it meant something urgent. The lady got straight to the point. because she heard that the guild was going to visit the kingdom of Monarch, and she just needed a unique product from Sayla. The girl simply needed iris dye. Although the dye produces an amazingly beautiful color, it is very expensive in the Empire due to limited supplies. Ariel reported the exact amount of the product. Jaina was extremely surprised that the lady needed 50 million pieces, and also asked if she wanted Jaina herself to invest. The lady said that she would make sure that all 50 million would be sold out. To this, Jaina said that this proposal was out of the blue. The perfumer explained that she plans to win the Spring Festival, which will determine this year's color. If she wins, she will become the May Queen, and interest in iris dye will also increase. She also said that she takes full responsibility upon herself. The woman declared that Ariel was a very deep thinker for her age. Even the butler said that this would not bring more losses, because if the guest's plan turns into foam, it will always be possible to sell the remains on the continent. But there is just one problem. To get this iris, you need to cross one bridge. Otherwise, you will have to circle around the Kingdom of Monarch. It is strictly guarded, so you need to apply for passage in advance. The butler said that usually it was possible to pay extra and permission would be given, even if the deadlines were missed. But after the owner of the city changed, this became much more difficult. As it turned out, Cedric Evans was the new owner. And it's not that he didn't take bribes, it's too difficult to get in touch with him. Ariel said that she would solve this issue on her own. If you think about it, after that moment, there was no chance to meet in person, and she only delivered perfume to Onyxia, and that was all. Ariel immediately realized that it was a scandalous article about her and the Fifth Prince. The lady decided that it was worth talking to him about this, and stopping, asked Ern to buy at least a gift. When Winston arrived, all the servants immediately began to bow to her and greet her in a large chorus. They promised to provide the girl with special first-class service, which is why she chose a simply lovely outfit in red shades. The man said that all the outfits suit the lady, and he is sure that Duke Evans will also really like it. But then the perfumer remembered that she had come for a gift for Sir Evans and announced it. But he didn't even ask who needed to choose a gift and got to work. And the girl thought about how well they treat customers here. He gave her several options, asking what she liked, to which she realized that such jewelry was not suitable for a symbolic gift, and these scoundrels decided to shake all the money out of the lady. Ariel smiled politely and said that this was not what she was looking for. The store owner apologized and asked what product she was interested in, saying that they would not disappoint her again. But the man was shocked when it turned out that Ariel wanted to pick up something like a basket of fruit. But immediately changing her mind, the perfumer asked for a bottle of wine. The lady was brought a book with various wines, but she chose the cheapest one. Ariel noticed that there was one item standing apart from everything else, and as she came closer, she saw a necklace that was so expensive that it stood alone. She immediately realized that by wearing it to the Spring Festival, she could create amazing harmony. But the perfumer was quickly upset, saying that this product was not for sale, it was exhibited only for demonstration. When asked when the exhibition would end, she was told that the exact dates were not known, and she could be included in the list of names for pre-order. I was wondering if the exhibition would end before the Spring Festival started, because it is so beautiful that Ariel definitely wants to get it. Leaving the store, the girl saw a sign that indicated the name of the store owner, but it seemed familiar to her. To this, Ern replied that this is one of the middle names of the owner. As it turns out, Cedric's full name is Cedric Rayner Richard Evans. But if Ariel had only known, she would never have bought a gift for the Duke here. The girl even understood why Cedric was constantly mentioned. When Ariel arrived at the Duke's, his advisor awkwardly asked him to wait a little longer. The girl began to think that the man simply did not have time, when suddenly he himself came out to her. The lady wanted to apologize for the unexpected visit when she noticed that the Duke was constantly looking for physical contact with her. He had a mark left on his cheek from the pillow, and the girl concluded that she had disturbed his daytime sleep. The man asked what brought the lady here, because she never sought a meeting first, to which he received the answer that Ariel needed help. She said that she heard that His Highness rules the fortified city. She, for greater persuasiveness, saying Cedric's full name, asked to allow the trade guild to cross the bridge. The Duke was left perplexed because he thought that Ariel wanted to export perfume to Sayla, but the girl explained that she urgently needed to get something during this month, but the merchant said that without a pass to the bridge, she would return empty-handed. And if he gives permission, it will greatly help the matter. It will also help correct the situation with the current decline. Ariel was very stubborn and preferred to solve the problem with the loss on her own. The man stated that he was confident that the plan was brilliant, and he would have the merchant guild added to the list of merchants allowed to enter this month. The lady thanked the investor and said that she would write a detailed report on the result of her ingenious plan. Suddenly, Cedric asked if the lady was thinking about marriage, which is why Ariel was shocked. She asked why such a question suddenly, and he replied that he saw in the newspaper that the lady became friends with Beller for the purpose of marriage. Ariel explained that these were just nonsense rumors, and His Highness the Prince only confessed to her without permission. Hearing these words, the man flew into a great rage, calling the prince a damned boy. Be that as it may, Evans admitted that he is sincerely glad that this rumor is baseless. Evans again reported that before Lady Winston arrived, he was dizzy and had a fever, but nothing else hurt next to her, to which Ariel stated that he was making it up. She rose from the sofa and bent over in front of the investor, taking his temperature with her hand. She looked away and said that Cedric still had a fever. The man took her hand and pulled her towards him so that the girl was much closer. The lady looked at him and wanted to say something when they were interrupted by the advisor's laughter. Ariel pushed the man away from her and handed him a gift. After that, Ariel, full of embarrassment and misunderstanding, quickly left the room. At this time, the fifth prince was diligently sketching Lady Ariel on the canvas, saying in a whisper that he was bored. His sketches were really beautiful, with straight lines. Keon even began to cry, realizing that he should not have confessed his love to Ariel. The man's older sister saw this, thinking that she would not forgive Ariel for making him an even bigger idiot. A new scent appeared in Ariel's room, and Rena finally smelled what Iris smelled like. It was the first time Rena felt such an exquisite aroma. The girl proudly declared that the lady would definitely win the spring festival. The maid gave the girl a suitcase, saying that an order had arrived, but Ariel did not order anything. Having opened it, the perfumer was shocked because she saw the same necklace. Based on the handwriting in the attached note, Ariel realized that Cedric had sent it to her. The girls discussed the fact that this time a new face would arrive instead of Charlotte. But suddenly, they saw that Ariel Winston, the one who was called a girl with a terrible temperament, had arrived at the festival. Because of the lady's luxurious appearance, all the girls said that they were very glad to meet her. The perfumer emanated an unusual floral aroma. The girl friendlily invited the aristocrats to try her new perfume. This perfume was made from irises and exuded an exquisite aroma that would subtly reveal the noble charm of its wearer. Everyone liked the new scent, and of course the girls began to ask where and how they could buy the newest perfume. Suddenly, Princess Lena appeared at the ball. The girl began to talk about how the lady immediately showed the insolence of a newcomer, or rather, she was behaving too openly. The princess immediately stated that it would be impossible to become May Queen, because the color of her dress was too expensive to make it trendy. The perfumer bowed and thanked the blonde for the lesson because the princess was indeed generous, as she had heard. Ariel reported that she heard unique news that the trade guild this time visited the port of Sayla, and it is famous for its unique goods. The girl said that the guild would soon announce that they had purchased iris dye in bulk. Since few traders would dare to bring iris from far away, purple blue was an extremely expensive color. Ariel explained that the reason for the high price was not the rarity of the iris, but rather supply issues. The lady was discouraged because the large delivery happened very suddenly. The girl said that they brought plenty of colors, so she decided to cover herself from head to toe in purple. The aristocrats immediately realized that if Countess Gilbert personally said so, then there really was a lot of goods. The princess immediately announced that the countess had committed a stupidity because the purple-blue color symbolizes death. At this, Ariel blinked her eyes in surprise, saying that in the language of flowers, iris means good luck. The lady giggled, saying that the world of flowers is amazing because the flower that signifies luck has such an opposite meaning. But the princess didn't want to give up, so she smiled and reminded Ariel about the rumors that she was friends with her older brother. The girl sighed, reassuring herself that a couple of gossips could help advertising. The perfumer announced that she had met His Highness a couple of times, but they did not have the same relationship as they write in the newspapers. Lena suddenly told Ariel to be much more careful because the imperial family was too big a prey for her. When Her Highness left, everyone immediately began to praise the girl for the color of her dress, asking her to try a little more perfume. Suddenly, another girl appeared in the ballroom and asked to try a little of the scent too. Ariel immediately remembered that this woman was the true main character of the original, whose name was Lena. She was dumbfounded, because there was still a long time before the main character appeared, and there was no mention of her participating in the spring festival. Lena smiled and complimented the perfumer, calling her a genius. The girl began to get acquainted with everyone, and Winston could not understand why she appeared so early. The lady said that she needed to leave and, wishing her a good evening, left the hall. The girl wanted to be alone to think about everything, because Lena, according to the storyline, should be connected with the main character, Cedric. She understood that she and the Duke were close because of business, but they were destined to grow apart someday. Winston didn't understand why she suddenly lost her mood because of this. The thoughts of the main villain were interrupted by the main character asking what Ariel was doing here alone. The lady explained that she decided to take a little break. Lena came to her to inform her that voting had already begun and invite her to vote together. The perfumer clearly decided that she shouldn't worry about it now and needs to concentrate on winning. The voting began, and Ariel Winston was chosen as the first contender. The second one was Lady Windbell. The woman said that, keeping with the iris concept, Lady Ariel presented an unusual and stunning outfit. Those present said that Lady Winston seemed to have a unique feature, and she surpassed even the participants of previous years. But Lady Windbell attracted the attention of other participants with the charm of pure beauty, which cannot be seen since the Empire. Lena said that it was a great honor for her to share the place of the contender with the perfumer. One aristocrat, approaching the girl, said that Lady Winston should be offended because due to the fact that the entry of men was prohibited, she was not able to bring the Duke as a partner. Ariel faked a smile and said that if the Duke had been here, he would have rigged the votes and led her to victory. She began to laugh and say that she was sorry that the Duke was born a man. The competitor approached the perfumer and asked her not to pay any attention because they behaved this way out of anxiety. Ariel literally prayed because she wanted to become the Queen of May in order to destroy Magnus. It so happened that the first two votes were for Elena. The girls tried to support Lady Winston because there was not a single vote for her. But as it turned out, the votes for Ariel were accumulated from below, and there were a significant number of them. And so with a large margin of votes, Lady Ariel Winston won. They gave her a bouquet of flowers and put a crown on her head. Ern met the mistress, immediately realizing that she had accomplished her plan. The girl realized that she should move directly to the contract. From that day on, everyone began to dress up in this unusual color, because it was recognized as fashionable. Everyone began to ask why that perfume had not been on sale before, to which Ariel replied that it was a very rare flower, and fortunately, she managed to buy a huge batch. The fact that my lady became the May Queen quickly spread throughout the empire, and all the newspapers began to talk about this wonderful event. Thanks to this, the demand for iris dye has increased, and they have become a big plus. Absolutely everyone understood that with this, Ariel wiped Magnus's nose well. To congratulate Winston, the Duke brought the lady a cake, expressing his admiration. The girl also noticed that Cedric perfectly complimented her look by giving her that necklace. To this, the man just smiled and hurried to invite Winston to dinner, under the pretext that they had not seen each other for a long time. But the lady refused, saying that she was very busy today. And suddenly the fifth prince appeared, who also decided to invite the girl to eat with him. His Highness stated that he felt that Ariel would be the May Queen. He said that they had not hung out together for a long time and would like to spend this time together. But Evans, grabbing someone else's hand, instantly declared that he was talking nonsense and should come to his senses. Keon suddenly said that he came for a reason but to talk. The man said that he wanted to make Ariel Mr. Keon's personal perfumer. He explained that last time he behaved irrationally and was unable to see the precious diamond right in front of his nose. Evans hastened to interrupt the prince, saying that Winston was already his personal perfumer and he would not allow her to be taken away from him. Meanwhile, Rena noticed that Fanta had copied their perfume again. Even people understood this, saying that it was somehow cheap here, but Lady Ariel's was much better. Hearing this, Magnus came into great shock and simultaneous rage mixed with despair. The girl mocked her because the lady didn't have a single customer. She asked if she should get help again. The girl handed her an intoxicating aroma, with which Magnus could regain his popularity. With his help, people crowded like zombies at the entrance to Fanta's store. They began to fight outside to get in, almost breaking glass and knocking down doors. Ariel had prepared a good batch of goods and was expecting buyers. The girl thought that since she became the Queen of May, trade has gone even better than before, and at this rate the store will have to expand. She even thought it would be a good idea to open a second store and start exporting abroad. Going outside, Rena, Ern, and Ariel saw the strange behavior of people. As if under hypnosis, they were walking to the Magnus store. They decided to observe and understand what was going on. Rena noticed that it looked like people were bewitched by something. Ariel told Rena to look after the store, and she would go inside and check what was really going on. Inside, people seemed to be going crazy, holding the bottles in their hands and laughing hysterically. Seeing this, Winston was horrified because it looked not just strange, but even creepy. The surprising thing was that not only the customers were crazy, but also Magnus herself. The perfumer understood that if suddenly she did not do this alone, then someone could help her. Suddenly, the fifth prince, Kian himself, walked into the same store. The man said that he had received a tip about suspicion of using prohibited grass on the territory of the empire. The man ordered them to install a magical barrier and send a priest for treatment. He approached one of the ladies and, holding out his hand, made her come to her senses with the power of light, and Ariel asked what it was. To this, the prince said that the imperial family has divine power, and he is no exception. The man quickly realized that this was not enough, because the effect of the intoxicating aroma was too strong. It is a chemical made from a poisonous herb that contains a drug. The prince thought about it, because this herb is prohibited in the empire. Ariel shared that, in her opinion, Magnus did not do this alone, because she was also under the influence of the drug. Winston said that out of curiosity she could take a minute and try to help. Lady Ariel developed an elixir for a number of addictions, just as the prince asked her to do. The girl asked if the man had any suspicions about who could have done this. Kian replied that he could guess who it was, since something similar had already happened 16 years ago. On that day, money laundering and smuggling were successfully completed. The girl said that Magnus had already played her role, and Beller would deal with her just fine. The man ordered the girl to try to carefully approach Lady Winston. He also clarified that only with her can they revive this place. Entering Fanta's strange store again, the girl began to spray the elixir. He helped noticeably, and people came to their senses without understanding anything. Ariel, approaching Magnus, began to spray her perfume on her, thereby bringing her to her senses. She started asking if the lady remembered anything. Fanta said she took one last look at her store before leaving Bel Air. But then suddenly, strange smoke appeared and she fell to the ground. Ariel invited the girl to rest, saying that it was very good that they managed to return her to her normal state. The prince said that out of old friendship, he would put in a good word about Fanta in front of the imperial family, because all the blame could be pinned on her. The lady thanked the guys and sincerely apologized for everything she had done. She also said that in the future, she would help her with anything if it was in her power. Winston said that once or twice the girl wouldn't get away with it. The investigation revealed that the Magnus Beauty Salon was used for money laundering. The perfumer asked if the empire was completely cleared of the Khan Guild, but few people know that the head of the guild survived and escaped. 16 years have passed since they were expelled, and it seems that all this time they have been gritting their teeth and growing in strength again. They have also established a new base, and the imperial family is now busy searching for them. They were the only gang in the best villain tradition to appear in the original. Khan is the final boss. They are cruel and merciless, befitting their status, the case of the kidnapping of the heir of Duke Evans 16 years ago. Cedric was expendable in an experiment to crossbreed a monster and a demonic creature. And as a side effect, Cedric fell into madness. Initially, Khan was supposed to appear on stage only 2 years later. But given many circumstances, the plot goes against the original. Ariel deduced that Cedric was in danger based on the fact that the Khan were not expected to appear so soon. The girl stood up and said that it was time for her to go. She explained that she urgently needed to go somewhere, to which the man took her hand and said that it was dangerous and he would escort her. To this, Winston stated that she was not the one he should protect, and also not small and could get through on her own. The prince said that the lady was going to go to the Duke anyway, but she did not understand what this had to do with him. The man said that he now understood for sure that the lady liked Mr. Evans. To this, the girl replied that this was not true at all. The man smiled and accused the lady of lying, saying that her ears were red. After that, Ariel rudely waved away someone else's hand and said that it was really time for her to leave. The girl walked towards the Duke, asking Rick if he was inside. The man asked what brought Lady Winston at this hour, but Ariel was thinking about something completely different, trying to understand by looking at how Cedric was feeling. The perfumer looked at the investor and asked to talk privately. Ariel said that although it is already late, this conversation is no less important. She asked if the Duke had heard the news about the return of the Kong Information Guild. To this, the man menacingly asked where the lady got such information, but the girl immediately figured that if he found out that Kyan told her about this, he would be very angry. Ariel said that this organization had a bad reputation. The girl understood that among all that Cedric had experienced, the crime of the Khan Guild was the most cruel. The consequence of the incident was not only madness, but also pain and fear from the abduction experienced in childhood. In the original, when the Khan returned, Cedric went into a frenzy, overcome with rage. Evans asked what made the lady think so deeply. She said that everything was fine, but she herself thought that maybe everything was fine now. But gradually, Cedric's madness would intensify. She understood that he needed her, the one who could cure his madness. This girl who should be with Evans was Lena. The lady realized that the presence of the main character was necessary for Cedric himself. The man asked if the lady wanted to tell him something. Ariel stated that she was acting as his family doctor, and he should report to the family doctor about any small details related to his health. Winston asked if his rapid pulse had been bothering him lately. Cedric chuckled that Ariel was actually asking questions like his doctor. Evans said he felt normal. But he did not miss the opportunity to notice that the girl cared about him. The perfumer was always stopped by the thought that someday he would naturally meet the main character. Ariel was tormented by only one question. Could she be with him until then? Cedric offered to take the lady to the door of the store, but she refused under the pretext that the store was very nearby. The man thought that the Khan had settled in the underground sewers, and the fact that they set up a base in such a place indicates the resumption of their activities in the capital of the empire. Evans asked if anything had been found about the 16-year-old case. The Duke concluded that they had done a lot of dirty work to match their reputation. Just think experiments on the human body. The man said that these experiences are the source of madness. In the process of crossing with a demonic entity, the blessing from baptism ceased to work. All this because Cedric could not be cured even by divine power. The employee said that these are just guesses for now, but there is other information. Ariel Winston was able to be a prototype. If she was also a test subject, then that explains everything. The man realized that her abilities could appear as a result of this experience. There must be a clear reason why they targeted her. Suddenly, Cedric began to have an attack and found it difficult to breathe. He fell to the floor and slowly began to lose consciousness. The man began to have memories where he and Ariel were kept in a cage. But as soon as Evans remembered the perfumer, the pain immediately subsided. Most likely, this is because she herself became like the scent of Onyxia to him. In the Winston perfume salon, construction work just started. People were shocked that the perfume shop remained closed for the next 3 months. Winston herself explained that she plans to return with an expanded store, and until then she asks guests to wait. It was surprising, but it had already been a year since they opened the store. The girl arrived at the palace, saying that she would disturb them a little while construction work was going on in her store. The handmaids began to discuss Ariel and the fact that she had recently taken the title of May Queen. They all discussed that the perfume she created was very popular. Suddenly, Ariel's father burst in and greeted his daughter, saying that they had not seen each other for a long time. The man asked how the imperial ball went, to which she replied that Her Majesty the Empress appreciated her perfume very highly, unlike some. She said that she also won the Spring Festival, and now it's even difficult to cope with the flow of customers. Ved, his lordship Duke Evans, made additional investments in her salon. The father stated that he was already tired of hearing the news that his daughter had taken the title of May Queen. The man said that, as expected, his daughter is simply incredible, and he is very proud of her. The girl sat in her room and thought about a way to stop Khan. After all, who knows if they will do this again, and you need to be prepared just in case. Ariel concluded that she must protect Cedric in the current situation. However, the lady did not know when exactly they would meet the main character. The perfumer came up with ideas to try to create different antidotes, based on information about the Kang Guild from the original. In her attempts to implement these plans, the girl was subjected to many failures, as well as explosions and accidents on her desktop. When everything exploded for her once again, Winston concluded that it was a complete failure. The lady thought that she could cope without divine power, because the main thing was to have perfect knowledge of chemistry. Ariel fed Keel various desserts. It was obvious, because only there could she make it work. Suddenly, the girl began to ask the man about his divine power. He said that his older brothers were busy, so he had to figure it out. The lady thanked the guy for coming to the rescue because without him, nothing would have been resolved. Also, the man hastened to apologize for dumping the confession on the lady. And then he behaved terribly out of jealousy, for which he is very ashamed. But the girl had a huge request to the prince regarding that intoxicating aroma. She knew that this was due to the Kang Guild, and she wanted to be prepared in case of an emergency. To do this, Ariel needs his divine power. Kian said that the Imperial Palace also fears that everything will turn out for the worse, and he, if it is in his power, will help in any way he can. The girl smiled and said that in that case she would soon contact him, but the prince stopped the girl again, saying that he would help her if she created a perfume for him. The girl's father was discouraged when he saw that His Highness had come to his palace. The man explained that he had decided to come because Lady Winston would make him a perfume out of old friendship. The old man tried to shake the prince's hand, saying that his daughter was the best and most brilliant perfumer. The friends went into the laboratory, and the father was incredibly happy that his daughter had finally approached the imperial family. Ariel said that first, you need to outline the general concept of the scent that Keanu likes. But the fifth prince was thinking about how to get closer to the lady, because now he came to the place where she spends most of her time, which means that she considers him a close person. Winston asked if the man had any favorite scents, but he, again coming very close, declared that most of all he liked the scent of Lady Ariel. But this was just his fantasy, and Ariel invited him to try several to choose from. As expected, the blonde has clear preferences. Also, the girl demanded an image that the man would like to embody with the help of fragrance. He didn't think much about it, but he wanted to look like the imperial family. In addition, soon there will be a ball in honor of the founding of the empire, and famous and influential people will gather there. The prince said that he wanted to show everyone that he had changed enough, and the lady said that he could trust her. After all, she will make the best perfume that will suit His Highness. Cedric concluded that Van would use the day the empire was founded to take action. The man said that Ern could handle it alone, but there was no guarantee. The counselor was surprised to learn that Evans wanted increased security for Lady Winston. Cedric stated that he would go to her as a knight or guard. But Rick reminded His Highness that on the day the empire was founded, each of his hours was scheduled for 10 points. He didn't understand how a man could so easily give up everything and start following Lady Winston. But the Duke replied that in every matter there are priorities. For 3 days and 3 nights, the Imperial Palace opened its doors. Even the streets were filled with the noise of the magnificent festival. In other words, it's the biggest day of the year. Ariel couldn't miss such a scene. The girl's image was predictably beautiful and luxurious. At a wonderful festival, the perfumer was met by Lady Charlotte. She congratulated the girl on the title of May Queen because she must have worn this perfume at the spring festival. Charlotte said that in the Empire, there is no equal to Iris perfume. In an instant, 2 handsome men approached the lady. They introduced themselves, one was named Zion and the other Zeph. Ariel didn't exactly plan to make friends with the sons of the aristocracy, but this perfume is more in line with women's preferences than men's. Charlotte stated that she was glad to see the 2 of them and hoped they would have another chance to see each other. Xian smiled and offered to accompany the lady to today's celebration. Winston politely refused, saying that she wanted to spend time alone with Charlotte. The children immediately attacked the guys, saying that their annoying offers were causing inconvenience to the lady. They said that Mistress Ariel didn't want to spend time with them and they should leave. Suddenly, a nice lady approached the lady, asking the name of today's perfume. She couldn't believe that Ariel created this perfume herself. The girl was waiting for Ariel's store to open again. To this, the lady said that the construction was almost finished and soon she would be able to visit her salon. But in a moment, Lady Winston's father showed up for the holiday. The entire aristocracy was gathered at the ball, and of course they might run into their father. He began to scold her for being completely immersed in her business. But the perfumer asked to talk when they changed the environment. Walking away, the father declared that it was time for the protracted teenage period to end, and the time had come to fulfill the duty of the heir to the earldom of Winston. To this, Ariel apologized and said that she does not plan to get married. The man guessed that the girl was haunted by thoughts of Duke Evans, and that is why she did not want to get married so much. He said that if she waited, the Duke would not pay attention to her. Her father began to say that the Duke kept her near him only to ward off annoying proposals for marriage. But suddenly Duke Evans himself, who was standing behind, heard it all. Ariel understood that if she and the Duke were seen again at the ball, everyone would start whispering. The girl said that her father should not worry about her marriage because she would still take responsibility and inherit the Count's title. She must be a young and stupid daughter in his eyes, but after all, she is the only heir to Winston County. The girl returned to Evans asking what business he had with her. Before all the business, Cedric asked permission to invite the lady to dance. Everyone started gossiping, wondering if Winston and Evans had started dating again or not. Previously, His Highness did not show much attention to Ariel, but human feelings can change at any time. Lately, these two are always together. You just have to have a free moment, and by the way, they fit each other perfectly. The man told the lady to call him if she needed a partner. The girl thanked her for the offer, however. He couldn't come to every ball to be her partner, but this was only a manifestation of politeness as a gentleman. The imperial family came to the ball, and the Empress herself noticed that Ariel again came with Cedric as a partner, but the lady boldly stated that she and Evans had just recently clashed. The woman announced that, to tell the truth, she wanted to consult Lady Winston. The Empress said that the season would soon change, so new flowers should be prepared for planting in the imperial garden. It was a great honor for Ariel that the Empress herself asked her about flowers. The perfumer said that irises are not that difficult to grow, and their color harmonizes with the national color of Bel Air. To be honest, until recently, the flower did not arouse a woman's interest, but lately the princess has been very partial to it. The Empress said that she often hears from her that she cannot believe that she lost to some foreign flower. She thanked the lady for the advice and told the lady to wait for the next invitation. Winston decided that she needed to take advantage of the moment and go into business, or rather, advertise her perfume. The man was drinking expensive wine when he suddenly collided with a blue-haired girl and spilled everything on the floor. The stranger asked for forgiveness because she was not yet used to such crowded places. The man asked if the lady was hurt, and also said that he would just take a little more drink. Liana bowed and introduced herself to the Duke, saying that she had just arrived in the Bel Air Empire a couple of months ago. She also said that she might very soon officially appear before the palace. Evans thought about it because he had not been told anything about the guest who arrived from abroad. The investors smelled a very familiar and warm aroma from the girl. Ariel thought that running a business was difficult, but she succeeded and received business cards even from foreign aristocrats. Lately, everyone in the empire has been talking about Ariel. The man approached the lady and mentioned whether she was the creator of magical perfumes. The perfumer realized that it was very good that she came to the ball in honor of the founding of the empire, and maybe later she would be able to advance abroad. A red-haired man approached the lady, smelling the aroma of iris, and the girl began to advertise her product because it was becoming more and more popular every hour. But the stranger hit the bull's eye when he reported that the girl mixed iris and geranium. Ariel was amazed at the stranger's knowledge when he said that the strong scent of geranium neutralizes landswood. He said it was an amazing decision because landswood is quite a magical herb, and just a little is enough to completely erase the smell of many herbs. The man said that he also liked the smell of that grass. He also noted that all you have to do is encounter it, and it completely removes all other odors. Also, the stranger said that the herb has a special feature, because it is the best component for creating dope. Suddenly, the perfumer realized that this man was related to Ariel in the original. She didn't understand why he should tell her about dope. Ariel understood that datura was an obvious flag of death, so there was no point in reacting. Seeing Ariel's frightened face, the man shrugged it off, saying that he was just joking to get closer. The stranger said that he preferred the aromas of beautiful flowers rather than dope. He asked if the girl had been to the port city of Sayla, because this is a place of extraordinary beauty, and now is the peak of the last spring flowers blooming. The view should be simply amazing. Red said he could take the lady there to see the beautiful views. Realizing that the man was too close, Ariel was forced to refuse. The stranger insisted that it would be wonderful to talk about fragrances in a place where it was very beautiful. The fifth prince stood up for the girl, ordering her to let go of the lady's hand. The man threateningly asked what he allowed himself to do in the sacred imperial palace. Judging by the red hair, the prince immediately concluded that this stranger was from abroad. The man stated that he came from Sendor, to which the blonde replied that this was strange, because the residents from that place whom he had met clearly heard a special intonation of speech. To this, he said that exceptions can be found everywhere. The foreign stranger got down on one knee and, kissing Winston's hand, declared that he would look forward to meeting her again. Kian asked Ariel if this often happens to her, to which she replied that such situations happen periodically. The girl smiled, realizing that the prince had come out specifically to help her. The perfumer smiled and said that, surprisingly, His Highness is capable of very good and cool deeds. The man also said that the change in his image was a success, and he has been using her perfume every day since he received it from Ariel. He announced with admiration that the views directed at him had changed significantly. The blonde said that he began to feel that people liked him. They began to give him compliments and smile enthusiastically. Mother even praised him for handling the Magnus case. Kian happily stated that thanks to Ariel Winston, he had finally become useful. The man smiled softly and extended his hand to the lady, inviting her to dance. Out of politeness, she agreed, and standing next to him began to waltz. The prince noticed that while they were dancing, their scents were mixed. He stated that he would be interested to smell what flavor it turned out to be. He sniffed, saying that Ariel smelled delicious. The prince became interested and asked what Ariel thought about him. He asked if it felt different. An awe-inspiring aroma emanated from the man. Ariel was lost in thought and didn't even notice how she bumped into the girl behind her. She fell and covered her face with her hand and cried quietly. But suddenly, the girl realized that right now she was literally lying on the fifth prince of the empire. He asked if the lady had hurt herself, when everyone around began to look only at them. The duke noticed this sight, realizing that the prince's confession was not an idle rumor, and he was going to marry her. Cedric abruptly asked to cancel tomorrow's meeting. Perhaps because the festival was in full swing here, the city was too crowded. Ern asked if the girl was going to attend the ball today. To this, Ariel replied that she had something more important to do than the ball. In the center of the street, there was a crystal elephant, which seemed to be alive. Ern stated that if his scales were removed, they could be sold at a high price. The man hastened to explain that he periodically sheds his scales, and they are simply picked up. The price varied greatly depending on the condition of the scales, but it was still expensive. In an instant, the lady ran into Cedric at the festival, who was looking at her with concern. The Duke immediately asked why Ariel was not at the ball, but walking around the city. When asked what made Cedric rush here from the palace, he replied that he wanted to have fun. Ariel saw a tent, or rather street gambling, which can only be seen on the day of foundation. The girl invited Cedric to try rainbow roulette together. The investor briefly borrowed the lady's food to test it for quality and safety. After making sure that there was natural dye there, he returned the roll to Ariel. Evan suggested that the lady had a day off, and sometimes it was necessary to spend the day in idle entertainment. The perfumer agreed, but said that she didn't come here to have fun. The girl came here for the open auction, which will begin right now. Ariel decided to keep it a secret why she came here. But due to many questions, the lady gave the Duke a clue: sperm whale. He tried to guess what the perfumer wanted to buy. It seems that the beginning has come, and once it was clear that the goods were at an unimaginable price. The man suggested playing a game, guessing the final price of the goods, and the one who guesses the most wins. But the lady said that in such cases, you need to play for something. Evan suggested that the loser should grant the winner's wish. Ariel agreed, except for something very expensive, and something that would take a long time. The man asked what she thought was too complicated and would take a lot of time. Ariel replied that a mutual agreement would be sufficient. The girl felt uneasy, but still, she did not think that Cedric would think of something incredible. The auction began. Someone gave 200,000 encores, someone a whole million. The bronze statue was sold for 1,000,000 biz, despite its small size. It was strange, but Evans always won, and Ariel gave an insufficiently accurate figure for the cost. Finally, the time for that same sperm whale came, and the girl was greatly delighted. The fact is that there was no ban on participation in the auction. The bargaining began with sperm whale fat. Some gave 800, some 1,000,000, some even 200 million. The man asked what the lady was waiting for, to which she replied that it was too early to set her price. But suddenly, at the end, all the byproducts were put up for auction, and the starting price was 5,000 buys. After thinking a little that the contents of the byproducts included tendons, fat, and mustache, the girl offered a starting price. She left the auction happy because Ern was already taking out the boxes with their contents. The knight suggested that these things were much more valuable than they seemed. The world of the original is similar to the world in which Ariel lived. You can find an analog for most of the components needed by a perfumer. But there is only one thing that cannot be replaced, and that is the sperm whale calculus. This material is so valuable that it is called the treasure of the sea. If you add it to perfume, it will last much longer and acquire a deep and rich aroma. And Ariel managed to get such material on the cheap. Leaving the building, the girl looked into the sky, seeing beautiful fireworks. As the crowd grew larger, the Duke suggested that the lady go elsewhere. Cedric sharply pressed the girl against the wall, saying that he was afraid that the crowd might drag her down with them. Ariel asked if the Duke was okay because he was behaving extremely strangely, but the man didn't seem to listen to her, saying that this wouldn't work and they'd better go up to the roof. Cedric apologized in advance and abruptly lifted the perfumer into his arms to lead her out of the huge crowd. A couple of movements and the couple found themselves on the roof, where the whole street was in full view. Evan suddenly filled Ariel with the fact that in the recent argument, he won. The girl smiled and said that since he won, then let him make a wish. The lady thought that Cedric would order 10 free bottles of medicinal perfume, but he, smiling at the corner of his lips, wished to hug the perfumer for a short time. He stated that it would take 1 second and he would let go immediately. Ariel hastened to remind that they had long separated. Also, she said that if someone sees them, they will immediately be pinned to the wall. The girl decided that she needed to show that his judgment was wrong, so she agreed to a hug. The Duke pulled her to him, hugging her tightly. The scent of pine needles emanated from him, and she could not understand why the second lasted like an eternity. Cedric thanked the lady for fulfilling his extraordinary request. Apparently, Winston was tired because she slept until late. Rena reminded that today is the day of the interview. The girl also said that Ariel called for the Duke in her sleep. Nothing serious happened, but Ariel couldn't stop constantly replaying yesterday in her memory. As expected, the Khan used the festival to send hitmen after Ariel. The man decided that from now on, in order for the lady to be safe, he would not take a step away from her. A guy named Lavi came for an interview. The girl asked, first of all, to tell about herself. He said that he loves perfume, so he graduated from the chemistry department of the academy, taking second place in the graduating class. And his main goal is to become a brilliant perfumer of the century like Ariel Winston herself. The guy began to tell me that he was very surprised when he smelled the very first perfumes, and he had never encountered such a fresh and deep aroma of roses anywhere. He said that her perfume is like a textbook for him. The girl said that she and her boyfriend had passed the selection process. But Cedric was amazed that Ariel decided to recruit green youths without work experience. But the lady objected, saying that work experience was not a mandatory point. She also announced that both candidates have sufficient skills. The lady also noticed that among all the candidates, they showed the strongest passion for perfume. Rena and Ern were very happy that they had new colleagues. There were a few things needed for the new perfume shop. Firstly, good employees in large places, and secondly, awareness of the perfume named Ariel Winston. And thirdly, a new perfume that will provide all the previous points. Ariel said that in order to develop a new product, she would lock the laboratory door for a while. Half a month later, the opening day of Ariel's perfume store arrived. The lady told everyone that her new store was opening again. Everyone was wondering what changes awaited them. The new employees were very worried because this was their first job. The girl taught Rena and Erna to be mentors to those young guys. But suddenly, an investor appeared at the opening and handed the lady a gift. It was surprising because Ariel had not yet contacted him. The box contained Arios crystals. The girl thanked the man for the gift, and the new employees began to wonder what kind of relationship they had with Evans. The fifth prince ordered a barrier to be installed around the store. When asked why this barrier was needed, the man replied that it was protection. Ariel thanked the blonde for his concern because it was very nice of him. The guys began to greet guests when the store finally opened. The service was very pleasant and polite thanks to the new staff. But the perfumer concluded that with the increase in staff, it became much easier. But suddenly, one lady asked what the name of the perfume that Ariel herself uses was called. Ariel said that this was a new product that went on sale from today and then suggested that we try it. This perfume gave off a luxurious and sweet aroma. Vanilla is woven into it, giving rise to a feeling of subtle sweetness. With jasmine filled with stimulating beauty as a base, people will be able to enjoy the aroma for a long time. The girl said that the aroma is very deep and mysterious. Then, Winston decided to tell her that they contain a special ingredient, and it is the base note that is complemented by amber. The customer was surprised that the scent would stay on the skin from morning until night. Rena compiled a report that half of the stock of Aesthetics of Charm has already been sold. What was amazing was that the most popular perfume was not even advertised. To this, Ariel said that Aisha is wrong, because the perfume is being advertised even at this moment. The whole advertisement was that the girl sprayed herself with it before receiving guests. Thanks to the popularity that the title of May Queen brought her, the lady decided that there was no need for additional advertising. It was all because Ariel Winston herself had already become an object of necessity. The girl could not even think that the reserves would dry out so quickly. Despite being very busy, they achieved great results, and Ariel suggested that the three of them celebrate. Duke Evans came into the store and asked him to join in the fun. Cedric somehow found out the schedule again and arrived right at closing time. The man explained that having caught the aroma of today's perfume, he assumed that it was a new product. Cedric said that this scent is as seductive as it is beautiful. The knight and the maid decided to leave the couple alone, under the pretext that they would bring more food. The girl noticed that he did not take his eyes off her. Cedric cleverly noticed that Ariel continued to avoid the man's gaze. Evans noticed that his gaze was fixed on only one person. But Ariel was shocked to say the least when she realized that Cedric liked Ariel. After this evening, the girl could not fall asleep and believed that Cedric might like Ariel. Since her head was a complete mess, the girl decided to get some fresh air. She understood that even if Evans liked Lady Winston, as long as he was involved with Lena, he would follow the original. But if events suddenly deviate from the original plot, there is a chance that his fate will be connected with Ariel. In an instant, under her window, the lady saw the main character doing something here in the middle of the night. Lena apologized, saying that she didn't even know that the working day had already ended. Since the lady still could not sleep, she invited the girl to drink tea. The lady was very ashamed, and she explained the late visit by saying that in her area, everything works until late. The guest said that she had business with Lady Ariel. Ariel thought that the girl was very nice, but she didn't even know that Ariel was originally going to kill her with poisonous perfume. As it was known, the perfumer accepts orders for production, and Ariel asked if Lena wanted to place an order. The girl said that the scent does not matter, but she really wants a magical perfume. To this, Winston apologized because she does not accept orders for magic perfume. After all, not only is there a high probability of failure, a large deposit is required, and if something goes wrong, Ariel must take full responsibility upon herself. But the blonde asked to listen to her circumstances and then make a decision. She said that she was from Sendor and stayed in the Bel Air Empire for a short time. The reason for her being here is that she wants to be cured of an old illness of unknown origin. There was no treatment in other countries, and she had to come here. Here, Lena received the same answer, and then learned about Ariel Winston, that she is a brilliant perfumer of the century, and she may be able to cure her illness. The perfumer stated that she is not a magician, but only makes perfumes. The lady said she wouldn't care if they failed, but Ariel could help. The girl did not remember Elena's similar attitude in the original. She is the main character, and if you can help a person, then the lady is ready for it. The perfumer said that it is unlikely that the disease will be completely cured, but she can try to alleviate the symptoms. The lady said that she would send her the deposit tomorrow, but for now, she would say goodbye. Ariel began to think that she had imagined all this, because the original was unlikely to be able to change. The girl approached the dungeon and promised that she would definitely get Theo out of there. The lady arrived at the only place in the Empire where holy water flows. Ern said that people come here to be healed and cleansed, and the priests use this holy water for blessings. Ariel wanted to use holy water, and perhaps be able to create a perfume that would put Elena out of her misery. But for the holy water to have an effect, they need to receive a blessing. They just need to step on the road up. Priests stood at the top and blessed the people. The goddess of fate, Selena, gave Ariel peace and tranquility. The priest declared that the goddess would lighten her path and send her eternal blessings. But suddenly the girl saw that the fifth prince was standing in the place of the priest, who asked what she was doing here. He reported that there was a labor shortage and he was here to help because he had powerful divine power, even by the standards of the imperial family. And Winston said that she was here because she received an order and was going to make a perfume with a healing effect. But unfortunately, taking holy water out of the territory is prohibited, but perhaps the girl could have succeeded with the presence of grass. Celestine herb is a plant containing divine power. If you soak it in water while reading a prayer, the water will become holy, but you cannot get the grass either. The man provided Ariel with some holy water, offering to develop a perfume right in the temple. The lady thanked His Highness because she had taken all the ingredients with her just in case. It was amazing that the girl created the perfume so quickly and easily, but it took her a lot of time to research. Suddenly, Ariel saw Sasha and Eileen. The fact is that Sasha felt bad and wanted to receive a blessing from the priest. The perfumer said that she feels good here too, to create perfume. It's based on the pure scent of lily of the valley, and she added holy water for a blessing effect. The girl handed the bottle to Sasha, spraying the product she had just made. The girl's fever immediately subsided and it became easier to breathe. Winston was very glad that the effect was positive. The fifth prince was amazed because he had never seen such an effect from simple perfumes before. Even though this is a perfume and the effect will not last longer than 3-4 hours, it will still be useful. The man had an idea and suggested creating more of this perfume and distributing it to those in need. This will reduce work for priests and may help those who have difficulty getting to the temple. Ariel promised that she would make as much healing perfume as possible. The girl said that she mixed holy water with magic herbs, which had a pain-relieving effect. The composition also includes the May lily of the valley flower, which adds a subtle aroma. When the main character sprayed the elixir on herself, it became much easier for her to breathe. The girl explained that the perfume would not be able to completely cure the lady's illness, but it would sufficiently ease the torment. Elena, taking Ariel by the hands, said that when she returns to her native land, she will definitely advertise her perfume. The girl looked away and thought that with this, she could save her brother. The girl appeared in that very cage, waking up her brother. He asked where she went, to which she replied that she had some business. Lena gave the guy that same perfume, saying that it would ease his suffering. She stated that this painkiller was created by the most brilliant perfumer of the empire. She asked him to use them every 4 hours because she had quietly poured the perfume out of the bottle and asked him to hide it well. Suddenly, a girl appeared, asking what they were doing. Researcher Kana reported that she entered without the knowledge of the head, and the girl might tell lies. She took the perfume from them, asking if it had any effect. The girl said that with this, conducting experiments would become much easier. The head ordered Phila to report if she noticed any strange reactions. In the evening, there will be an official dinner with the kingdom, and the man concluded that it is not too late to return to the palace. Elena was reminded not to forget who she needed to gain the trust of. His love is so deep that during the last ball in honor of the founding of the empire, he dealt with all the mercenaries. But fortunately, Evans killed them before the head pulled out the information. It was funny for them to watch how the Duke crossed all boundaries of decency, and the informant asked to deal with him. Elena said that the man could rely on her. Evans thought that today was a beautiful day, and it was a pity that the weather did not cooperate. Keon heard that they had invited guests from the kingdom of Sendor. The men discussed seeing a man and woman from there. Evans reported that he thought Elena was wearing the same perfume as Lady Ariel. The fifth prince said that in the past he hated Cedric because he was perfect in everything. But now, on the contrary, he is grateful to him. At the imperial dinner, the Duke and the main character met again, when Lena said that it was fate that brought them together again. Cedric said that the girl's perfume was given to him by someone she knew, which is why he remembered her. It was surprising that the heroine does not wear perfume, but nevertheless the Duke felt a familiar aroma. The girl said that he and Ariel Winston met at the Spring Festival. The Duke said he was an investor and was smitten at the business plan stage. He suggested that with her exceptional talent, the store would be a success, but the results exceeded all expectations. Elena began to worry that she and Ariel were getting back together. Indeed, in this case, if she follows the plan, on the contrary, she will arouse his hostility. The girl hurried to greet the prince and princess of the ball. Keon immediately realized that the girl could wear a similar perfume as Ariel. The lady said that she really wanted to meet the two of them, and also mentioned that the prince once ran his own business. She also said that she is looking forward to Ariel's perfumes being distributed in her kingdom. The man showed the perfume that the lady created especially for him. Keon invited the girl to try, to which she announced that it was a great honor for her. Elena began to realize that Winston was so famous that she was capable of influencing even the imperial family, and she should not rashly cross her path. To revive the Con Guild, Ariel's genius abilities are needed. However, if such a public figure, known even to the imperial family, disappears, a serious wave will rise. Elena decided that a new plan needed to be made. Suddenly, Duke Evans appeared from behind, asking what she was doing there. But the man suddenly asked if the lady had ever seen one mark 16 years ago. He began to talk about his guesses that the girl was an eyewitness to mysterious magic or experiments. The girl understood that he suspected her of spying for Khan, but did not understand why. She tried to avert her eyes, saying that she was very unpleasant to hear this, and, by the way, she had never heard of or seen such a thing. Then the man asked for forgiveness, saying that he was simply conducting an investigation. He also asked her to let him know if she saw or found out anything. Evan still remembered the smell of the place where he was locked up 16 years ago. Cedric knew for sure that the girl was saturated with the smell of this place. The Duke looked through all of Lady Helena's documents, but everything was clean. The advisor also reported that this girl has a real personality. The only peculiarity is the disappearance of her younger brother in childhood. Rick heard that at age 8 she disappeared with Brahm, but returned alone a few weeks later. It was also known that for the sake of experiments on people, the Khans abducted small children. If we assume that the younger brother Windbell is a prototype of Khan, then Lena, who escaped alone after being kidnapped, could very well become Khan's subordinate to save her younger brother. From all this, Cedric could not understand one thing: why she risked her life by entering the palace. She may be the main accomplice, so the Duke asked for a detailed investigation. If this investigation turns up important clues, Cedric may be able to understand why the Khan are fixated on Lady Winston. He can find a way to cope with the madness. Rena reported that Ariel received an invitation from the Imperial Palace from Princess Lena. It was wonderful because the princess invites the perfumer to a ball in honor of her birthday. Ariel was thinking hard about what to give her. It should not be so luxurious, but not banal. The maid came up with the idea, saying that the princess loved to travel. Euphoria Island, Tanzari, and so on. There are no places she hasn't visited. She especially likes the snowy lands of the north. She goes there often. They say that the princess is a frequent visitor to the snowy lands because she wants to check the veracity of the legend. Winston decided that she would go there next week to create a perfume for the princess. A week later, the three of them headed to that same snowy place. For the first time in a long time, the girl admired the snow. Rena asked if Ariel had been here before because in the circles where they live, there is no winter. But suddenly the girl saw the Duke there, very surprised. The man was here to investigate. But I, a girl, received an invitation to a ball from a princess, so I decided to give her a perfume with the association of a place that she especially likes. The Duke said that she likes to come here because of the legend about the fairy, but this is only a natural phenomenon. The man said that later in the evening it would get colder here, and Ariel had better return before it's too late. Ariel carefully developed the recipe for the new perfume, based on her experience and genius talent in knowledge of chemistry. Ern and Rena returned with bags of groceries. Ern asked the girls to rest, because he would take over dinner. The night really cooked very tasty, and the ladies were simply shocked. Although the girls did not come here for the sake of relaxation, it turned out to be just that, thanks to the beautiful view. Ariel shared that after moving, all she did was work. At first, she was shocked by the fact that she had entered Ariel's body. But she was happy that she could make perfume again thanks to this Ariel. After all, what she so desperately dreamed of in a past life has come true here. The girl understood that in the end, we can say that everything worked out for the best. Winston was thinking about who exactly Evans would come to see them. Rena said that they would clean up and go to the house, and the perfumer would sit a little longer and come. Ariel was seriously sleepy, but she understood that if she fell asleep right on the street, Rena would definitely grumble. The girl nevertheless fell asleep, and she had a nightmare about how the original Ariel poisoned the main character. When Ariel woke up, a worried Duke was already sitting next to her. He said that it was dangerous to sleep in such a place, and it was better for her to enter the house. The girl said that she had a dream where Evans was leaving her, to which the man said that he would never leave. Ariel noticed that Cedric's mood had worsened. The man said that he would like this not to happen in his dreams. Cedric handed the girl his jacket, saying that it was getting cold outside. Ariel realized that she woke up as soon as she felt the warmth. She wondered if the Duke had really been sitting next to her all the time while she was sleeping. To this, the Duke said that he simply could not allow the lady to catch a cold. Evans, seeing that the girl was sleeping alone, thought that it was dangerous and simply sat down next to her. He was afraid that Ariel would freeze, so he hugged her a little. To this, Winston stated that she was still a little cold. The Duke couldn't think of anything better than to hug the perfumer tightly, warming him with his warmth. The girl was well aware that she should not get carried away with this man. Her mind was intoxicated with feelings, and she could not push her ex away when he pulled her into a kiss. The lady asked for forgiveness for not resisting in any way. The northern lights appeared in the sky, and the man said that it looked like Aurora had decided to show herself. The perfumer smelled a lovely aroma that, according to Cedric, came from one flower. The flowers began to shine and seemed to glow, and the girl said that it was incredible. It was an amazing feeling, like lily, jasmine, and iris mixed together. The Duke said that they bloom only at dawn, when the northern lights appear. As it turned out, it was a phenomenon called the Aurora Fairy. The moments when she became May Queen and when she opened her new store came to mind. The flower awakened happy moments. One had only to breathe in its scent. The princess said that she wanted to relive her childhood memories. Now Ariel has decided what to give as a gift. The man asked if the Duke liked Elena, but she reported that she not only failed to get closer, on the contrary, she aroused unnecessary suspicion. The girl said that she tried to start a conversation for a long time, but he ignored her, turning away. She asked for forgiveness for not being able to execute the plan properly, but he only got angry and took the girl by the chin and said that he thought that the Duke would fall for the pretty face. He concluded that in this case Elena is simply useless, but she said that the Duke would be attending a party in honor of the princess's birthday, and then she would try. But the man refused this plan, saying that in the morning Phil would give her instructions. The day of the princess's birthday party has arrived. Ariel was informed that His Grace the Duke had already arrived. The man complimented her by saying that the girl was especially gorgeous today. Although it's a small thing, it's better to accept it as gratitude for the fact that he's already accompanied her several times. Cedric asked if the girl chose the gift herself, but after answering he smiled, saying that the color was very beautiful. Winston was embarrassed when the Duke took her hand, especially after the kissing incident. The lady began to think that yesterday was just a mistake. At the ball, they were greeted by the princess herself, noting that they had once again arrived together. The girl asked to accept her congratulations, saying that her birth was a great happiness for the empire. Her Highness was glad they came, so she wished them a good time. The Duke decided to stand out and give the princess gold bars. The girl promised that she would use it wisely. Ariel decided that she needed to show what a real birthday gift was. Everyone understood why the lady did not show up for several days, because she was making a new perfume. The fifth prince saw Elena again in the palace. The man decided that he needed to follow her just in case. Ariel couldn't take her eyes off the guy, although she wanted her to come to her senses. Suddenly, a doctor walked into the room and immediately apologized for not being on time. The Duke asked to examine not her, but the lady's ankle. The doctor realized that there were no violations, as Ariel tried to prove earlier. The perfumer immediately realized that she had just wanted to kiss a man. Evan said that it was very good that the injury was trivial. After that, he offered to give the lady another dance. The girl thought that such an appearance was simply illegal, but suddenly Ariel remembered that Cedric said that he had a conversation with her. The man said that he felt peace when the perfumer was nearby, and at first he believed that this was only the effect of weakening the madness. But now he was sure that Ariel Winston was attractive to him. But before he had time to say this, the lady hurried out of the hall. The girl didn't understand why she hadn't realized this before, because absolutely every moment literally screamed about it. Cedric hugged her, asking her not to run away, but she said that she wanted to be herself, and next to a man, this was impossible. Ariel wanted to say the whole reason, but her mouth was suddenly closed with a kiss. Cedric said that she shouldn't worry because for him, Ariel is the main character. The girl began to think if she could change the course of the original story. The main question was whether the Duke would fall in love with her, and not with a fictional character in the plot. The perfumer decided that she would not know about it unless she took the first step. Everything will be fine because history has already begun to change. And now, the girl is not the minor character Ariel Winston, but precisely that girl from the real world. But suddenly the lady disappeared, and the whole hall was filled with strange smoke. Cedric immediately realized that attacking in this way was Khan's trick. Rick shouted that he needed to leave immediately because something strange was happening. The Duke ran out into the street, and seeing the prince, ran up and asked what had happened. He reported that someone had hidden paralyzing smokes throughout the palace. When a certain hour struck, this device distributed them. Security is trying to take control of the situation using a neutralizer, and the suspect turned out to be Elena, who was walking around the palace so sweetly. Also, given that she appeared at an official event between the kingdoms, it is worth assuming that the crime was planned. They began to ask the girl who sent her, to which she replied that she knew nothing. Cedric said that he was conducting an investigation, and there is a possibility that Khan is holding the Winbell family hostage, and that is why she is acting under his command. Since he and his younger brother were kidnapped and Elena returned alone, his whereabouts have been unknown. Recently, the Duke even showed her Khan's mark, and judging by the look, she knows it. The girl looked away and asked if she told everything she knew, would they be able to save her brother? Evan said there is a possibility, but he can give a definitive guarantee. However, they must do their best because the girl will tell everything. The Kang want to use influence through the powerful demonic beasts they created. To contain them, a special chemical is needed. The Duke announced that, with their skills, complete control was impossible. They planned to use Ariel's abilities to completely subdue the demonic beasts. 5 hours have passed since Winston went missing. The girl was paralyzed and lying on a stone table. When the man saw that she had woken up, he approached. The lady immediately recognized him because at a recent ball he offered to accompany her. He introduced himself as the second head of the guild, Road. The lady looking at him immediately realized that he was the leader of the gang. He stated that he did not kidnap her at all, but simply wants to fulfill the lady's desire. Road said that it was a long time ago, and perhaps the girl doesn't even remember about it. Red said that he would help the girl revive her memories. The Empress said that they had once again taken root in the system, and it was possible to track them. After the incident with paralyzing smokes and the disappearance of the lady, an emergency meeting was held in the Imperial Palace. The Duke announced that this very second, he would lead an army to raze Can to the ground. The Imperial Guard joined forces with the Knightly Order of Evans, and they made their way into the base. Inside, it was full of demonic beasts. There was no end to them, and the fifth prince himself got down to business. In the depths, there was a huge garden in which Onyxia was grown. In an instant, the huge crystal that supplied the flowers with energy began to make strange sounds and sparkle. They failed again, and yet this time the probability of successfully creating a person was high. It was to his credit that the second head chose the ducal family, and they were confident that they would succeed. Ariel began to remember how she was little and she and Evans sat in the same cage. The girl offered to help the boy with treatment because he was badly injured. After all, she had a wonderful cure for all diseases created by her mother. And in fact, the girl successfully cured little Cedric. Her mother was the most brilliant alchemist scientist in the Empire, and she could create anything. But unfortunately, Ariel hasn't seen her mother since she got here. When something unexpected happened to the carriage, she opened her eyes and found herself here. He was also dragged here after the carriage was attacked. Evans said that now they are both in the hands of kidnappers. The girl suggested that we get out of here together as quickly as possible. They conducted experiments on the boy, recording observations that the highest level of compatibility of magical power was recorded. Test subject number 6 died from a magical attack. The red-haired boy asked his father to try the test. After all the torment, the girl continued to quench other people's pain with the help of her mother's elixirs. The children concluded that the Khans are real psychos, since they have been abusing children for a week now. The girl said that in any case, it would be nice to run away from here together with her mother. To this, the red-haired man said that it was a laugh and nothing more, and then introduced himself that he was the future second head. The boy said that he knew where her mother was and asked her to follow him. These memories pierced Cedric with a thin thread of pain. It would seem that the crystal is about to explode from magical power. Cedric tried to protect the girl who was helping him, and taking a piece of crystal, stood in front of the red one. The Duke told the prince that he remembered everything and knew who kidnapped Ariel. The girl suddenly remembered everything, even the moment when she found her dead mother. From that day on, she was forced every day to create perfumes for her own experiments. The angry boy continued to escalate things, saying that she would never be let out of here. He also grinned and declared that she belonged to him. Ariel remembered they want to use her instead of her mother. They also tried to get rid of Cedric in order to bind her to him. But ultimately, an accident occurred, due to which one important experiment had to be suspended. And Road was the one who led Kang to destruction. The man wondered what future awaited them if they united. The second head was mad and invited Ariel to stay with him and change this world radically. The perfumer stated with disgust that no matter what he imagined, this would never happen. To this, the red-haired man replied that he could only force her to do this. He planned to brainwash the lady with the help of another experiment. Ariel has worked so hard to get where she is now, she simply cannot allow herself to be turned into cannon fodder. At this long-awaited moment, Evans finally reached the right place. Road was surprised that the man was able to get to her in such a pathetic state. The Duke took out his sword and told Ariel to be patient for a while and he would save her. A couple of blows and Cedric destroyed the crystals, thanks to which the spell was dispelled. Goad, with the words that the Duke simply should not have interfered, threw away the explosive canister, from which strange smoke was emanating. This smoke was from the demon world, which aroused more madness. The head said that no matter how hard he tried, Cedric was still a pathetic little animal. Knights burst into the room asking if his lordship was okay. The Duke could not overcome himself and rushed into battle, attacking his own knights. But the fifth prince came to Ern's defense, using his divine power. The nephew asked Evans to come to his senses because now it is not he who needs it, but Lady Winston. Voices screamed in his head that tried to turn him against. They said to kill, and no matter who. He rushed into battle again, but having already defeated the divine power of the prince, he settled on the knights. Ariel took Ern's place, covering him with herself so that the guy would in no way injure her friend. The girl tried to bring Cedric to his senses. Suddenly, after much screaming, Evans finally recognized Ariel. Ariel understood that he was not completely mad yet, and just in case, she had a sedative pill in her pocket. The man silently hugged the girl to himself, symbolizing a hug. The monks began to heal Keon. The knight promised that he would return with good news, and Ariel must cope alone. The symptoms have intensified, and it will be difficult to cope with them alone. The girl would not like to use this method, but there is no other choice. Ariel popped the pill into her mouth and pulled the man into a deep kiss. Everything worked out because this is a powerful sedative, and soon Evans will feel better. Finally, the Duke came to his senses and spoke. The man hugged the girl tightly, saying that he would not want to experience this again. All Kang members were tied with powerful chains. Red stated that Cedric is still a monster, even if he is his father's successful creation. The blood of demonic creatures flows in Evan's veins, and nothing can change this. To this, the man said that he does not regret his mixed blood at all. Although there are some side effects, it has gained obvious strength. It was nice because Cedric could gut anyone like some kind of rat. Ariel asked how to completely get rid of the side effects of experiments on people. Rhodes said that the girl is too naive because there is no one on earth who can cleanse the blackened soul. The body, even once intertwined with demonic blood, will no longer be able to return to its previous state. Winston's face showed disappointment that she could not get the answer she wanted. Evans proudly declared that he no longer cared because he had already found his refuge. Red again tried to say that she was going to live an ordinary life, making perfumes as a merchant. Although now she can get things that she could not even imagine. The perfumer asked why he thought she would want to participate in 8th grade games to conquer the world. After all, he will have to rot in prison for the crimes he committed. He began to shout that he had done a lot to meet Ariel, to which the girl handed him perfume that could kill him with one click. They offered to deliver the couple home using a teleporter. There was only one rule in its use, one person at a time. Finally, the missing children returned home. Led by his lordship Duke Evans, they successfully dealt with the demonic creatures. However, at the last moment, the head of the guild, Khan, used suspicious magic on the Duke. This caused him incredible agony, and they did not even find the courage to approach. Lady Ariel Winston was the one who saved the Duke. The Imperial Palace plans to contact the lady to prepare for emergencies. Along with eliminating Khan and settling the consequences, the head of the Khan Guild, Rod Rizero, who became the main instigator of all incidents, was punished. His punishment was lifelong status as a slave. As long as he is branded, he will be followed wherever he goes. And if he tries to leave the country, the branded body part will explode. Ariel's employees, reading this story in the newspaper, reported that she had an interesting life. The girl was recognized as a heroine of love who was heroically able to save the Duke from madness. Winston gained enormous popularity among admiring people, who kept asking about that situation. Some even thought that the girl covered Cedric with herself because the situation gave rise to many stupid rumors. But the girl was reassured by the fact that thanks to this, their sales increased. Ariel was examined by the court doctor, rested a little, and emerged with new strength. And Rena looked after the store well when the owner was away. Now, all the employees cope perfectly well without the appearance of the main perfumer. They did a great job advising on the products, reminding customers that their products last a long time on the skin. Taking a look at this, Winston concluded that there could be no problem in the future. A guest was waiting for the lady on the second floor, or rather Vin. The girl and her brother apologized for showing up so unexpectedly, but they wanted to thank Ariel personally. But Elena also wanted to admit that she had been deceiving the girl all this time and that the fact that she was in danger was entirely her fault. To this, the perfumer said that the main thing is that everything ended well, and besides, she understands. Because the girl had a serious reason. The palace said that since she provided information to eliminate the Kang Guild, and is also a victim of human experimentation, they released her from punishment. But you can't undo what's done, so if Ariel needs it, she will rush in as fast as she can to help. When asked what Lena plans to do next, the girl replied that she wants to become a student of the Magic Tower. This was a great idea, Because in the original, Lena also dreamed of becoming a magician traveling across the continent, using magic to save people like her who are in dire straits. But Elena's brother dreamed of becoming an outstanding knight, like Duke Evans. The girl asked why that perfume was needed, because she guessed that it was because of the side effects from the experiments. However, Rod ordered it to be done so that the experiments would be more effective, because if a person forgets about pain, he can be mocked as much as he likes. Ariel decided to give the guys Onyxia's perfume. She said that during the experiments, Lena was also injected with the blood of demonic creatures. Perhaps everything is not as serious as Cedric's, but sometimes she may suffer from side effects. And in such moments, this scent of Onyxia will help her. As soon as they finished and Elena hurried home, the girl went outside when she saw Evans. The man invited the lady to devote this evening to him. The perfumer was surprised how far this place is, that she had to use a teleport. The Duke announced that he plans to visit Azendrick, and he asked the girl to accompany him. Ariel asked the reason why they should visit this place. Evans suggested visiting first and then finding out everything. On the spot, they were met by a sweet old lady who noticed what a long journey they had to travel. This woman was the High Priestess. She asked if the lady the man had told her about was standing right in front of her. The woman came a little closer to her, and the girl did not understand why such an important person as the High Priest was studying her at arm's length. The old lady asked Cedric to leave them for a while, because she had a personal conversation with the lady. As soon as the Duke left, the priestess said that she knew that Ariel had arrived from another world. She said that she was not going to interrogate the lady. The perfumer began to wonder how much this lady knew, and whether she knew that she came from planet Earth. The priestess stated that she understood what was bothering the girl, because she had only witnessed this before. This is not a common occurrence in her long life. The woman observed this only twice. The girl asked if there were other people who came from her world. Everyone managed to settle in very well. Although Ariel got used to it much faster than these two, it was immediately clear from Winston that she was from another world, because she did not have God's mark. In addition, her soul radiates a different energy. Ariel suddenly realized that the Duke also understood the fact that she was from another world and therefore brought her here. The old woman declared that the Duke's fears were excessive. When Evans came again, the priestess said that Ariel was completely healthy. The girl asked if the Duke believed that they had experimented on her too. Most of all, Rode was obsessed with Ariel, and in the past she was there with Cedric. The lady said that she carried out chemical experiments instead of her mother. The lady was right because Evans did not feel the demonic energy. The Duke said that when he went down into the underground sewer, he remembered everything that happened in the past, and the fact that Ariel was the only reason he could hold on. The man asked if they were not due to one test, then what other reasons could there be? The perfumer guessed what the reason was, but did not know how to explain. Similar symptoms are all known methods of treating carp with ingredients from the demonic world. Up to this point, Cedric's symptoms were described in the original as an incurable disease. But there is another way, but the girl does not know whether to mention it. But the girl thought that if the author himself wrote about this novel, it's unlikely that it's complete nonsense. She hesitated and said that the second reason why the symptoms had weakened was because of love. Cedric's madness is caused by the demonic creature's blood being unable to fully mix with his own. Treatment required eradicating the nature of demonic creatures whose blood was mixed with human blood. One way to treat it is to sweep it away with human nature. In other words, feelings that only humans are capable of. The girl said that this was just a possibility. It seems to her that the author reread the fairy tales, and it also sounds like the reason is that Ariel likes her too much. The man said that it does not mean that such an opinion exists. It seemed strange to him, but if she were of the same origin as him, the symptoms would have receded even in their first meeting. At first, he thought that there was a mnemonic effect, but at some point things began to happen that could no longer be explained. The Duke planned to confess in a more appropriate place, at a more appropriate time, but he can no longer restrain himself because he is in love with Ariel Winston. The man didn't know if he had the right to say something like that, but he was head over heels in love with her. The girl, in turn, reciprocated and also admitted her feelings. For a second, a strange thought came to her. If the lady had really moved into a fairy tale, then the word "the end" would now appear under this scene. A month later, Ariel woke up in her bed. Cedric was lying nearby, asking if the lady slept well. The perfumer began to stay at Cedric's estate more often, under the pretext of being the attending physician. Over the course of a month, she and Evans became even closer. Also, the girl began to expand her perfume business. She also opened a second perfume salon in the Magellan area. Charlotte congratulated the lady on the opening and on the fact that she was able to overcome her business. Ariel suggested staying up late, not letting the perfume sell. Elena also wanted to meet with the mistress. Winston didn't know that the department store had a restaurant. It was incredibly beautiful there because Cedric chose the place. The place looked not only beautiful, but also expensive. Ariel understood that the more she looked at him, the more shy he became. For the lady, it was truly the perfect dinner. Evans suddenly reiterated that Ariel began to occupy all his thoughts, and he seemed to be in love with her. He understood that there was no way to stop these feelings. The Duke said that every day spent with the girl brought him great pleasure, so he got down on one knee and proposed to the lady. Ariel, without thinking twice, said these cherished words that she agreed. Now they will fall asleep and wake up together every day. They spent that night quite normally, discussing where Ariel wanted to open a third store. She was wondering if people liked her perfume abroad. Their conversations did not stop until dawn. The man pressed down without warning, as if he always did this, and she, as if by magic, closed her eyes, and her lungs were filled with aroma, and at some point, confidence suddenly came to her. Even if Ariel smells this scent for the rest of her life, she will never get tired of it. The wedding day has arrived. Looking in the mirror, the perfumer said that her efforts were not in vain. Even with the crowds of shoppers, she had to sleep at least 10 hours. And the biggest problem on this day, she could not meet with Cedric. And all because of the tradition that prohibits the bride and groom from seeing each other for a week before the wedding. Rena said that we should wait a little longer. Just think, soon Ariel Evans will become a lady. Finally, the bride arrived at the ballroom of the Bel Air Imperial Palace. The priest asked the bride and groom to look at each other and say an oath. The groom vowed that he would always love one and only the bride. The bride swore that she would always love only one groom. The priestess wanted to tell them to put rings on each other, as they had already begun to kiss. Ariel stopped Evans, asking him to put the ring on her. They say that rings are the shackles that hold a marriage together. Finally, the old lady declared Winston and Evans husband and wife. Jaina herself personally came to the wedding to congratulate the perfumer on the wedding. The woman said that recently a gang of robbers has been operating at the Western Gate, and problems may arise with the visit. The Duke stated that in any case, he planned to send a nightly detachment there, and they would soon be defeated. Charlotte grinned, constantly calling Ariel Cedric's last name. The girl still couldn't believe that this happened, to which the blonde replied that it was because they hadn't had their wedding night yet. Ariel wouldn't mind just hanging out with Evans and chatting. The next evening, they went to the love island of Euphoria. The girl was happy about the pink sand and then that Evans became her husband. They won't be able to walk for a long time because it will soon be evening and it will get cold. Then, the Duke suggested returning to the villa. The lady had the feeling that all she did during the day was eat. To this, Cedric only suggested adding a little more wine. Ariel was about to ask what type of wine it was when she suddenly knocked over the glass. The man said that the girl was starting to worry for completely unexpected reasons. He smiled and, wiping the wine from someone else's hands, offered to go upstairs. The perfumer realized that it was already night and they would have to spend their wedding night. Even though the Duke suggested they go to bed, Evans was very worried. The lady smiled and said that she was fine and went to the second floor. Seeing the girl's shy behavior, Cedric laughed, even if now was not the most appropriate moment for laughter. Ariel threw him onto the bed, deepening into a pleasant kiss. The girl realized that Cedric was also worried when he chose to be on top. The next day, the couple decided to go to the beach. Evans asked if Cedric knew what a malicious face he had now. In the evening, there was supposed to be a festival in the village. The couple felt very calm because no one recognized them. Then the Duke invited the lady to open her own business here. But suddenly, having heard a random conversation, she found out that there was a fortune teller somewhere here. Ariel decided to look into the tent out of curiosity. But suddenly, the lady saw a familiar fortune teller, one who predicted a lot of truth. She didn't think to meet her here, and the girl asked because Ariel must be here on her honeymoon. The fortune teller said that it was a great honor for her to see such a bright couple live. She asked to choose 3 cards that could predict the fate of the spouses. According to the cards, the girl clearly saw that these two were made for each other. These cards indicate that their future will be filled with bright light. Although troubles will visit them, they will quickly dissipate. And also they will be visited by 2 baby angels. The fortune teller declared that Ariel would have twins. The girl was completely shocked by the fortune teller's words because she didn't even suspect that she could be pregnant. But Cedric immediately began to think that he would need to find a capable midwife and magician. The man said that if the fortune teller didn't lie, it's not that bad. She asked if the girl should take a closer look. In the past, Ariel pulled the grandfather card in relation to the partner destined for her, and out of interest, she asked how his health was. Ariel again chose 3 cards and found out that this gentleman's health is not in danger. This does not mean that there are no problems, but she will find a solution and cope safely. The man said that twins would make his widow happy, but he thought it would be very difficult for a girl. But the girl said that half of what was said was just fun. Finally, the couple arrived home, and the first thing Rena did was throw herself into the lady's arms. The staff, because she returned early, they quickly decided to organize a congratulatory party. Rena asked why the lady returned earlier than planned, to which Ariel said that starting today, she will be developing a new fragrance. The guys announced that they would help with everything the lady said. But Evans wanted to create the scent of the Euphorian sea breeze, with the smell of palm trees and overseas fruits, and the smell of musk mixed with pine wood. While the girl continued to create her new scent, she noticed that Cedric had been waiting for her for a long time. He said that the girl was so focused that he decided to silently watch, to which Ariel only let her smell the new scent. The lady decided to call this perfume Happiness, but in fact this is a series of fragrances, but the first will be this one. The aroma of that same sea breeze. When asked how long she plans to create them, the girl replied that she doesn't know, and maybe it will take forever. Ariel wondered what the scent smelled like that gave people happiness. It was the scent of flowers, sworn bees, and butterflies. The girl spent a lot of